Temperatures not too bad, 82 tonight. Next batch, rain and thunderstorms should start to kick into gear around midnight. Heavy rain again possible with some localized flooding. 68 Thursday, changeable sky, mix of clouds and sun, very humid, but only pop-up thunderstorms on Thursday with a high near 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hello, hi. I know that you tuned in for Hannah and you got me. And I know that you're probably pretty excited about that. So hello. It's going to be myself, Brad, John Hancock.
Hey there.
At the helm.
Whatever will we talk about today?
Again today. The news about the indictment broke just shortly after we left the studio yesterday. So a lot to go over there. And
so I turned on sports talk when I left here because I was concerned about the trade.
The Cardinals.
So I missed the indictment until much later.
Yeah, I saw it at about 5:30 because I was I was doing other stuff here. But the great thing is that Brad has booked a couple of weeks ago Cully Stimson, who's the senior legal fellow at Heritage, to be in studio at 12:25 here shortly. And we didn't know that was going to be today. Perfect timing. Yeah. So we will get the full breakdown.
Yeah, usually I book a comedian when Trump is indicted.
Right, and you're like, hey, what's this all about?
The last two indictments, for those of you who don't know, the last two indictments that we had, I had booked Joe DeVito from the Gutfeld show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
That's hilarious.
And you had to cancel?
No, he came on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on the next
Oh,
show.
I don't know that I realized that.
Just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so Cully Stimson's going to be here, and a lot to go over. I mean, we had already planned on going over all of the Hunter and Joe Biden, Devon Archer stuff, but now you get more, and this is why you need a legal analyst to go over this stuff, because you don't know, like, when you hear he's indicted, you're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he'll be able to break it down entirely for us at 12:25.
Yeah, we got Deroy Murdock is going to talk about the Hunter Biden situation. He's going to join us at 107 today.
107, yeah.
Deroy, normal guest at 107, and then we're going to fill out the 2 o'clock hour too, because we've got Jared Halpern coming on, which is uncommon, especially at that time, to round out everything about the Trump stuff and maybe anything else we didn't miss.
Mike Kelly's coming on.
Mike Kelly's going to come in, my Democratic co-host on Sunday morning.
Is he coming in?
I don't know if he'll be in studio yet.
Okay.
But we'll talk about the politics, not so much the legal side, but the political side of the Trump indictments, plural, and what's going on in the Biden family and how that might play out. I think we'll both start from the premise that, well, certainly that Trump will be the Republican nominee. I'm quite confident that that's going to be the case. Most people think Biden will be the Democratic nominee. I kind of think he won't be. But Michael Kelly and I will break that down.
Yep, 125. And then Tony Viviano, you can explain who he is a little bit. Tony Viviano.
Great singer. He does a lot of Sinatra. He does a lot of Tony Bennett, who passed away 2 weeks ago. And Tony Viviano has got a couple of concerts this weekend, so wanted to let the folks know about that. So it's worth going to see if you like that style of music.
And we're going to try to fit in Wiggins America in there somewhere.
We will.
Typically at 12:40, but we'll see. We're just it's such a full show that we're just going to work it in somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. And it'll be all about polls today. Not just like Joe Biden versus Trump polls, but polls about issues where America stands on the recent stuff, the indictments, the Hunter Biden stuff. I got quite a bit on that and everything else. So, and I think the snapshots are, whenever it's 50-50, that says one thing. Whenever it's 75-25, that's saying something else. So you're outside the margin of error on a lot of these things.
And we've got our own poll today, right?
We do. In a general election, how might the indictments of Trump affect him? Will it help him? Will it hurt him? Will it have no effect? That is the question of the day. I think it's probably one we've even asked before. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 times before.
Yeah.
But they just keep rolling. There'll probably be even more beyond this.
Yeah.
So
really, really curious of how this is going to play out for him.
So there you go. That's the way it's going to look today.
We'll see you in a couple.
Okay.
At the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com. If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. they're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
Long summer days call for extra hands. Hire fast with Indeed. Their hiring solution helps attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness 101 for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
This weekend, the hottest hot tub sale and swim spa deals are at St. Louis Premium Outlet Mall. 3 days only. Every hot tub and swim spa must go up to 50% off. Hurry, the clock is ticking. Only at St. Louis Premium Outlet Mall in Chesterfield. Sale ends this weekend. EliteSpaSales.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Boys, I woke up this morning and I had not 1, but 2 smiley faces on my CPAP. That means it's going to be a very good day. Welcome all of you to the Annie Frey Show. I'm John Hancock filling in today. Wiggy's going to take the wheel tomorrow. Mike Elam will be in Friday. And next Monday, Annie Frey will be back in this seat. And boy, will she have a lot to talk about. Well, let's get everybody's first impressions of the history-making day yesterday, the 3rd indictment of President Donald Trump. Start with you, Wiggs.
Well, when history is made every day, then really is history ever made? So, yeah, it was another one. I gotta say, of the 3 indictments so far, this one is the one that objectively, I'm really trying to remove my political opinions from this just to say, you know, here's what I would think about this if it were shoe of the other foot. Say it had been Barack Obama had done the same kind of things in Georgia. And I'm talking about things we know publicly. As far as I know, there isn't a whole lot we don't know publicly that's going to come out of this case. But the whole, like, find me votes thing is what they keep coming back to in Georgia.
This one, though, isn't Georgia. This one's D.C.
Oh, no. Then I'm all messed up. because I have been reading all about the Georgia stuff constantly. So explain the D.C. then. Explain this to me.
So Jack Smith, our good friend.
I knew it was Jack Smith.
Has indicted Donald Trump in D.C. on 4 counts of conspiracy based around, and we'll get much better legal. I'm not a lawyer. We'll get much better legal analysis when Cully Stimson gets in here in a little bit. But they were charges related to trying to overturn the 2020 election and the various steps. There are 6 co-conspirators that are listed, they're not by name. Co-conspirators 1 through 6 that are listed. The indictment outlines that a number of people told Donald Trump that he had lost the election, and it is on that basis that Smith is bringing these charges that he knowingly lost the election and still tried to change the outcome. That's the basis of the indictment.
But it's stemming from the things that he did in mainly Georgia and also Arizona, right?
Arizona and other states, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm following this right. I just wanted to make sure you said D.C.
Part of the charges include like what happened on January 6th. So part of the charges include the idea that it was his actions because he was committing fraud about this.
people delayed the count, and therefore it violated people's rights to have their votes counted.
And there's a
something along those
section
lines.
towards the end of the indictment that is specifically related to the attempt to persuade Mike Pence to delay the vote and throw it back to the state legislatures.
Yeah, okay. So I'm really not as far off as I...
Not as far off.
I thought.
So, Brad,
you just said Washington, D.C. and kind of threw me off.
What's your take?
To me, this one, if it's... I still think the New York one is the weakest indictment.
Agreed.
But this one is a real close second to that one.
I agree with that.
And I don't really understand, to me, Jack Smith has a very high mountain to climb to prove Donald Trump knew that he lost the election. If Donald Trump believes if he believed that election was stolen from him, if he truly believes it, it doesn't matter how many people talk to him or tell him or whatever. You have to prove that he knew.
Yep.
So what you need is him saying, I know that I lost this, but I want you to do this anyway. Is kind of what you need to prove this. I think that Jack Smith has a really, really high bar to prove that, especially to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I think that Trump's actions ever since then, because he still thinks that it was stolen from him, he's still championing that line. I think that actually speaks more to his defense. I don't understand this indictment. I think that if you really are worried about the legality of something, I think you go after the strongest case that you have, and that strongest case is still the documents case.
I agree with that. So this case essentially is what the January 6th commission in the House gave the prosecutor. There's really nothing additional here, save the Mike Pence stuff, because Pence obviously cooperated. Pence shared his notes with Jack Smith. There's a section in the indictment where Pence's chief of staff said he feared for Pence's life. This was before January 6th, and it goes into how the Secret Service took him away and put him in a secure location. All of that's in there. Here's what would have been a much stronger indictment, and I was half expecting to see this. I thought this indictment, when it came down, was going to be able to draw a tie between the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and their violent assault on the Capitol and coordination with the White House. And because I thought maybe Mark Meadows flipped. And now, I don't know that there was coordination with the White House, but that would have actually been a case, This case, Brad, you're right. Donald Trump, it's entirely plausible that he believes that he lost the election. It may be that he's emotionally incapable of thinking he lost the election, whatever. And if that then is the basis of the defense, then he is acting all of these other things he's doing, the elector slates in other states, which is cited, attempting to delay the count, put the election back in state legislatures. All of those other actions he took were on advice of counsel. He was given legal advice to go forward with those efforts. The lawyers told him this was a plausible legal theory, and he acted on that. I think that's a pretty solid defense, honestly.
Let me go
on charges like these.
I agree, and I want to go back to what I was saying about trying to be objective here, because if I were to put the shoe on the other foot and be still conservative, but it was a Democrat doing it, or vice versa, that I'm a liberal and it's Trump.
It's a
it
good
doesn't
way
matter.
to approach these things.
Either way, approaching all the other cases that we just talked about, I still come to the same conclusion. With this one, I think, you know what? I actually would be pretty mad if I saw Barack Obama doing what Trump had done and saying, no, I actually didn't lose the election in 2012 or whatever it was, and really ginning up a lot of animosity toward the system. If I believed fully in that system, I would say, you are destroying things. I actually would. I mean, objectively, I would look at that and go, this guy's a big problem. However, where I would draw the line is that's not criminal. It could be very dangerous. It could be undermining things that I hold in high regard. But I don't think that the solution to those things, and I'm not saying I do believe it. I believe a lot of other things. I'm trying to be objective.
Yeah,
here.
I understand.
But if it were that case, this is the wrong approach to take, because you're then saying, well, you are such a danger and we're so righteous that we're going to bring criminal charges against you. That actually hurts the system just as much as trying to protect it.
Yeah. Yeah, here's a thought I had. Yeah, it's clear to me the strongest case that they've got here are the documents in Mar-a-Lago. So the strongest case they've got is in a venue where they've got a judge that is going to lean in Trump's favor and a jury pool that is likely to produce at least one juror who's going to not go guilty, right? Down in southern Florida. So the strongest case has got the weakest judicial alignment to it. This case, the weaker of the two, is in D.C., where they've got an Obama-appointed judge and, in theory, at least a jury pool that's going to be a lot more sympathetic to prosecuting Donald Trump. They might have a perfect storm of nothing here, because if the weak case finds one juror, I think the most likely outcome of this stuff, if it ever goes to trial, is that you're going to have two hung juries. But that's what I think. What does Jonathan Turley think, the George Washington University law professor? He had this to say on Fox News last night. Well, we think he said, we know he said something.
The most jarring thing about this indictment is that it basically just accuses him of disinformation. This is a disinformation indictment. It says that you were spreading falsehoods, that you were undermining the integrity of the election. That's all part of the First Amendment, and I think that courts will look skeptically. He might have a fair shot with a D.C. jury and maybe a D.C. judge. He's going to have a harder time with the courts. And this reminds me of sort of the McDowell complaint, where he took the Virginia governor, got a conviction, and then it was unanimously overturned by the Supreme Court. It is a bridge too far.
You know, that's a really interesting point, and a lot of us have perhaps forgotten Bob McDonnell. He was a Republican governor of Virginia and a popular governor of Virginia, and he was at the time considering running for president. This was in 2015. He was going to be on that stage with the other candidates. Well, he got involved in, they called it bribery, and I don't remember the specifics of the case any longer, but it was a lot of people thought it was highly political, and I had forgotten, frankly, that Jack Smith had been the prosecutor in that case. And yeah, Smith won a conviction. The guy's reputation was ruined. He leaves office in disgrace, never ends up running for president, of course. And then ultimately, when the case gets to the Supreme Court, a 9-0 decision to exonerate him. And you know, when you go after political figures, you better darn well have your ducks lined up. And I just am not sure that is necessarily the case. Turley went on to say that, you know, he doesn't see a whole lot of new information here.
I assumed that Smith had this type of aha moment, that there's something in there that the January 6th committee didn't find, that, you know, supported. We heard about witness tampering. It's not in there. I mean, everything in this indictment is basically what has been discussed in the news. Now, by the way, the other thing that is not in here is conspiracy for incitement. Not in here is a seditious conspiracy. Those were the claims that Democrats used in the impeachment and said that the evidence was absolutely clear. People like Schiff and others said that he's clearly guilty of those crimes. Well, they're not in here. Instead, he's using the favorite of prosecutors, these type of conspiracy and obstruction claims.
Yeah, and here's what I don't understand. Because there was a war room at the Willard Hotel. Steve Bannon was in there. Proud Boys and Oath Keepers were in there. We know that Mark Meadows had interaction with the war room during that time. So clearly, Smith doesn't have any evidence connecting Donald Trump to any of the violence that occurred at the Capitol, because it's not in there. And that, I mean, that would be a concern. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, that kind of an indictment would be a concern. It's not in here.
Yeah, if you had, let's say, for instance, you had plants that you knew were in the January 6th crowd, who were told by someone, you need to rile things up, maybe even get violent, break through some barriers. You would think that that would be illegal.
Yeah, you would.
Yet.
Well, and in fact, they did go to jail for that. The guys, and here's the thing. One of two things is true about January 6th. Either there were a bunch of people in the crowd that got spun up and went to the Capitol and got violent, spontaneously. Or there was a very small subset of that group that was organized, that had a plan to put a line in a file and go through the barricades, go through the door, and go into the building. I believe that's pretty proven by the videotape of that day. The guys that had military fatigues, they were in a line, and they went in. So, and those folks are paying the penalty for it now. They're going to jail.
Some of them are.
Some of them are.
Because there are some names out there they have on video yelling, we should storm the Capitol, we should do things, and they're not. And so if those people, I want to throw out a name, Ray Epps.
Yep.
If a person like him or others that were in that crowd were in line with Donald Trump, that would be illegal. Yet, if they're in line with somebody else like the FBI who's doing the investigation, that's okay. That's the picture that we're painting right now.
Yeah, well, I think the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys clearly were coordinated among themselves to go in. But I haven't seen any evidence that Donald Trump was behind the strings, pulling the strings on that deal.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. There are bad actors. January 6th was a horrible day in the history of the country. I do think, though, that the thought that our democracy was literally at stake is a little bit of, the sky is falling kind of stuff. If you think that the people that were there on the Capitol was enough to overthrow the United States, we've got a bigger problem.
Well, and let's not lose sight of the fact that the system actually worked.
Yeah.
The system actually worked that day. They had the electoral count. Biden was inaugurated, and the system worked as it was designed to work. So, you can say what you want, and we're going to find out a lot more about this because just around the corner, Cully Stimson is going to be with us. He's got a brand new book out called Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. That'll be interesting. We'll talk about the book. We'll also talk about yesterday's indictment of President Donald Trump. That's next on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Feel that hot blood in my body when it drops.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
When everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine.
Stewart's American Mortgage is where you go to get the bagel loan. And I was talking to a very close friend of mine here recently that reached out to Stewie to get the mortgage taken care of with a bagel loan when it comes to his new home purchase. And when he talked to Stewie, he got a whole bunch of different options. Here's how I can do this. Here's how I can do that. They talked about the bagel loan. And at the end, they came to the conclusion that Stewie was the best option for them. If you're interested in getting a mortgage and you haven't reached out to Stewie, he's going to be honest with you. He's going to tell you how he can help you and how he will beat the competition. 314-324-4440. You call Stewie or you text Stewie at 314-324-4440, and he'll start the conversation on making you the most competitive person making an offer on the home that you want to buy. A 10-day close, super fast. There's nobody better in the business. I have used a bagel loan 2 times with Stewart's American Mortgage on a home refinance. Both times I was able to lower my rate. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Summer's just getting started. Still need your air conditioner checked? Schedule your HVAC system check for only $54. This is a limited time offer. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because ideas change the world. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey there, John Hancock in for Annie Frey. She'll be back on Monday. Is everything okay over there, Brad?
Well, you didn't play our bump music, but that's okay.
Yeah, we just skipped
We can
the bump
play it
music.
now if you want.
You want it?
When you have imminence in the room, we don't need no stinking bump music.
He's too excited. Just let him go, Brad.
Right. So joining us here is Charles. It's not sponsored, is it? I mean, we're not losing money on this.
No.
All right, good. Charles Cully Stimson is our guest. He's a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He served as a local, state, federal, and military prosecutor, a defense attorney, a military trial judge. He was the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Detainee Affairs in the George W. Bush administration, 30 years in the U.S. Navy as a JAG officer, and the author of Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. We're going to talk about that book in a little bit. Cully, it's an honor to be with you, sir.
Well, it's a real thrill to be in St. Louis, my first time, and appreciate the warm welcome.
So we've been talking a little bit this morning about the indictment yesterday. Who better to break it down for us than a man that's been a prosecutor, been on both sides of the table in the courtroom? How do you see this latest 4-count indictment by Jack Smith?
Well, there was nothing new in it that I had not seen before, and I think a lot of people are saying the same thing.
Yep.
Whereas in the classified documents indictment by Jack Smith and his team, there were, it was a speaking indictment as well, there were specific references to emails and texts and videos and audio and people's testimony from grand jury. There was a lot of there. And if all of that is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that's a compelling case. Mm-hmm. Of course, he's presumed innocent like every defendant. This looked like a long op-ed, and it read like a narrative. It didn't read like any indictment I'm familiar with or that I've brought or fought against over my 30 years. And so, whether Jack Smith has the goods and he didn't include specific items of evidence in the indictment like he did in the classified documents indictment is to be seen. But I also think some of the legal theories here, 3 counts of conspiracy, there are a lot of defenses that immediately jump to everyone's mind when you see this, if you look at it objectively, not the least of which is First Amendment protected speech.
Right.
And of course, you and I and Ryan are old enough, well, I don't know about Ryan, but you and I are old enough to remember.
Darn right, I'm young.
2000. You look handsome and very young and
Thank
vigorous. And John and I remember the election in 2000.
We
I mean,
do.
are we supposed to now apply the same logic to Al Gore, who was the vice president, who vigorously contested the election in Florida across numerous counties? He never won one recount across any county, yet he pushed this and pushed this and pushed this, brought an army of lawyers down there, maintained that he won, and then ultimately the Supreme Court found that all the recounts were right, and George W. Bush won by 537 votes.
That's really an important historical note to make on this, because you're absolutely right. I was actually an elector in Missouri that year, and there were pressures being put on the electors to flip and be unfaithful in 2000. It strikes me a little bit, Cully, that the strongest case that Smith has is in the most pro-Trump venue you could have at Southern Florida with a judge that Trump appointed. And the weakest case that Jack Smith has is in the most anti-Trump venue with an anti-Trump judge and a jury pool that's going to be inclined to be against him. Do those things matter at the end of the day?
No, not to me, at least as a legal matter. I mean, I was an assistant U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia, and those juries are very skeptical of law enforcement, and they're very skeptical of finding people guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Even for crimes like murder and carjacking, you see holdouts all the time. You see a lot of hung juries in that jurisdiction. I mean, I recall one assault with intent to kill case against a defendant with the last name Sims. We had all the goods. We had all the DNA. We had all the video. We had all the testimony, and yet they hung up the jury. Any other jurisdiction would have just found him guilty in a New York second. And so no doubt Trump's attorneys will file a motion for a change of venue, which is to move it out of D.C. We'll see whether this judge, who I'm quite familiar with, will grant that. I doubt she will. She'll probably just allow him unlimited voir dire, questioning of potential jurors to seat a so-called impartial jury. But yeah, I mean, you can never tell when you. I would bet that their goal is not to have a jury ever see either of these cases and try to cut these cases off at the pass through pretrial motions.
Well, and it's going to be very difficult to seat a jury in either one of those venues, right?
It is. It is.
It's just, I don't know how they're going to do that. One thing that I was reminded of as it relates to Jack Smith was he was the prosecutor of Governor Bob McDonnell in Virginia. I know what the outcome was. McDonnell got convicted, and then that conviction got overturned unanimously. But I don't remember the underlying charges or what the underlying indictment was. Can you refresh my memory on that?
Well, I wish I could, but I don't remember either.
Yeah, it was a bribery something or other.
Yeah, and it was official misconduct. But of course, the high court overturned that conviction, and people are drawing an analogy between what happened to McDonald and the fact that Jack Smith was the prosecutor there and then now here. I'm going to have to go refresh my memory of what that was about. I think, though, this is a capacious reading of these statutes. I mean, if you peel, and I have a blog about to come out on the Daily Signal, which is the Heritage Foundation's blog, with a fellow federal prosecutor, John Malcolm, who was an assistant U.S. attorney in Georgia and prosecuted a bombing and death of a federal judge. So he's not not a piker. I mean, he's a serious prosecutor. And we look at all of the charges, and the fact is, these are specific intent charges, which means you have to have the mindset that can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And remember, for a conspiracy to be proven, you have to prove, one, you had a meeting of the minds with somebody, you had an agreement to commit a criminal act. And two, you have to take a step in furtherance of that criminal act. Well, what if Trump maintains, and I suspect he will maintain and has maintained, that he thought all along and thinks to this day that the election was stolen, that he won fair and square. So in other words, the object and purpose in his mentality was not to defraud the government, which is the first charge, it's to secure his win. Remember when Obama came into office, and I know something about this because I dealt with terrorist detainees, and Obama put a prosecutor, John Durham, in charge of investigating whether the CIA had tortured detainees and whether it was a crime for investigators to erase the videotapes of those waterboardings. CIA waterboarded 3 individual terrorist detainees. And what did John Durham find? No, they didn't violate the torture statute. Why? Because the specific intent was not to torture, which under the statute is to cause serious bodily injury, organ failure, or death. The specific intent was to break their will so that they would willingly talk later. That was the purpose of the waterboarding. So proving the specific intent beyond a reasonable doubt is hard, but it's required. And so I think when Jack Smith, if he ever gets to a trial here, he has a big burden to prove that Trump was thinking something that Trump has been saying the opposite of all these many years.
Yeah, no question. Cully Stimson is our guest. He's an author of a book that we're going to talk about after the break. And given the fact that Trump's defense is going to be that he believed he won the election, the rest of that indictment, it seems to me like he's relying on the advice of counsel, right? I mean, he's getting legal advice that you can have these elector boards submitted, alternative sets of electors. And isn't the job of a lawyer to be an advocate for their client?
Yes. In fact, you have an ethical duty to do that. And all of us who have the privilege of being a member of a bar do that. And even if the advice was wrong, even egregiously wrong, if Trump believed it was right and it fed into his ego, and we know he has a huge ego, it's perfectly fine in many people's minds for him to assert what I call the Al Gore defense. I think I won. Because that's what the defense is. I know I won. I think I won, and I'm going to keep fighting like hell, and I'm going to twist the arms of the Johns and the other electors in the various states to convince them to find the fraudulent ballots that were cast.
Cully, when we look at this indictment in particular, putting the other two aside for a second, how might this affect the 2024 election legally, or can it?
That's a great question. I don't have an answer on the legal side. I'd have to think more about it. On the politics side, oddly enough, we've all seen that every time he gets indicted, the MAGA crowd doubles down on supporting him, and other people tend to support him. He goes up in the polls. So, the politicians and the people who think first through a political lens, and that's not me, have said recently that, this is the game plan of the Democratic Party.
I think that's right.
Jack Smith is a Democratic operative. This is they're saying, not me, in that they want to make Trump as toxic as possible, but make sure he's the nominee so that in the general he loses to feeble old Joe Biden.
Be careful what you wish for.
Regardless, this costs him a lot of money, though, right?
Right. And we've seen an article in Politico, which typically I discount, but it's a pretty good article, I think a day or so ago, that talked about how much money he's been spending, how much he's been getting from donors, right? And then turning right around and paying for his legal fees, which is, I think, $40 million.
$40 million, that's correct.
And that's not chump change in politics.
No, it's not at all. We need to step aside. I'm really excited to discuss this book, and you've got an event this evening coming up that we want to tell the folks about. We lived through, here in St. Louis, one of these Soros-funded prosecutors for 5.5 years, Kim Gardner, who literally destroyed the office here. I'm sure you've got stories aplenty in your book that we're going to discuss. Cully Stimson is our guest. We'll be back after this. It's the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Now listen to the beat.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Yeah.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Everybody knows that it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. When you wake up early in the morning,
Shopping for a home on the Illinois side of the river is made easy when you partner with Jen Teskey of RE/MAX Alliance. You can learn more about her online at jenteskeyhomes.com, T-E-S-K-E, jenteskeyhomes.com. The Jen Teskey team is the best in the business. And if you're looking to sell your home, let me encourage you to make the phone call, 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010. Make the phone call to the Jen Teskey team and just ask any questions that you have. Maybe you're not even ready to sell it right now, but you're thinking, well, in the future, we want to do it within the next 12 months, talk to Jen Teskey because she's going to help guide you. Her team, which is an amazing team of people, is going to help guide you in maybe what you do fix up, what you don't spend money on. They'll guide you through this process and help you time the market as best as they possibly can so you get that top dollar quick sell. 618-541-1010. Call or text Jen Teskey at 618-541-1010. Online at jenteskeyhomes.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
So, Cully Stimson in studio with us. We're about to find out more about his book, Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. And finding out that there's one chapter that may be devoted to St. Louis, but hang on. We're going to find out more about that in just a second. It's 12:42. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock filling in.
Bravo on letting the bumper music play there. Good
Thanks,
job.
buddy. I'm warming into the seat here. Really, and I must say, in my 14 years of doing radio, this may be the favorite guest I've ever interviewed. I mean, I am enjoying this time with Cully Stimson. He's a senior legal fellow at Heritage, former U.S. Navy JAG. He's written this book, Rogue Prosecutors, and you're going to have an event. Let's start with the event. So the event is tonight. It's sponsored by the Republican National Lawyers Association. Where's it going to be?
It's at a law firm here in town that you know how to pronounce and I don't.
Hush Eppenberger, and that's in Clayton.
Yep.
And it's going to start at what time?
4 o'clock to 6.
Open to the public?
I think you have to pre-register, not open to the media.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't blame you for that.
I'll come in wearing a mustache.
I got to tell you though,
I'm not media.
You've found a topic here, and we spent the last segment talking about the yesterday's indictment. But you found a topic here that has touched the lives of all of us in this St. Louis metropolitan area, and that is this concept of rogue prosecutors who are funded by dark money PACs. Generated by the likes of George Soros and others, running in races that typically don't get a lot of attention, a lot of political money input into them, and they've had wild success at the ballot boxes. How long has that particular scheme been going on, and how broad is its reach?
Yeah, glad you asked that. This started in 2016 when an employee of George Soros and an employee of the ACLU got together to unseat 3 Southern DAs who were enforcing the death penalty. They got $500,000 of Soros money, set up 3 PACs, recruited 3 people, ran and won those races and decided to go national. So the first Soros-backed rogue prosecutor nationally was Kim Foxx in Chicago in 2016. She's still the DA there. That was a little over $1 million of Soros money. By the way, Soros took to the page of the Wall Street Journal last year saying why he supports reform-minded prosecutors. So this isn't anti-Semitic comments. This isn't fantasy. This is him. And
he owns it.
Yeah, and we have the second chapter is follow the money. They are ingenious. I mean, I got to hand it to them. They realized, to your point, John, that most DA races, and there's 2,300 elected DAs around the country, are low-dollar, low-visibility races, right? Just like school board races used to be, right? And the ROI is huge, right? The return on investment is huge. A very small amount of money can go a long way to buying yourself a DA. 95% of DA races are uncontested, which they knew going in, and so they knew that if they put some money forward and brought in a pro-criminal, anti-victim zealot who had to follow their playbook, they could get DAs. Why do they do this? This is the big question, which we answer in the first chapter, the origins, playbook, and belief. They believe that the entire criminal justice system is racist. It's not. There is no system. There are systems. 18,000 police departments, 2,300 DA offices, 3,143 counties, 50 states. It's different everywhere. And 2, that the only way to change that, to fix that in their mind, is to, quote, reverse engineer and dismantle, unquote, the criminal justice system as we know it. And, of course, how do you do that? You have an adversarial system. I've been on all 3 sides of it, right? You have a hard charge and ethical prosecutor against a hard charge and creative criminal defense attorney in front of a neutral and detached judge, and put it in front of a jury of your peers and let the facts decide what happens, right? But when you replace the prosecutor, the person who's supposed to enforce the law, with a pro-criminal, anti-victim zealot, you destroy the adversarial nature of the system. They believe that prisons today are modern-day slave plantations. Their words, not mine. And so by prosecuting people for violent crimes and sending them to prison, you're sending them back to the plantation. It's just amazing that they think this, and this is what they write about. And we quote with over 1,200 footnotes in our book, so we quote them.
Well, we even closed a prison here in St. Louis. In the city of St. Louis, they shut down the workhouse, and now they've got an overcrowded jail, and which is amazing to me because she didn't prosecute anybody. How many of these prosecutors are there across the country today?
There's between 71 and 74 Soros bought and paid for rogue prosecutors, which out of 2,300 doesn't sound like a lot, but that represents over 60% of the U.S. population.
Yeah, the big cities.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Cully, the thing I hate to admit is that the playbook that you just described, it's worked. You know, I mean, they have been very successful at doing this.
Yep.
But my question for you is now, I mean, we've seen it here. You've traveled a lot more than I have. Kim Gardner is no longer in office.
Yep.
There's been a backlash. Now, part of that's because Missouri is a red state and we have a blue city in a red state, and that's not the case everywhere. But is there a backlash happening across the country similar to what we've seen here?
There is, Ryan, and it's not just Kim Gardner who resigned in disgrace, not soon enough, in my opinion, but in the blue city of San Francisco.
Yep.
Chesa Boudin we have a whole chapter on Chesa Boudin, son of the Weather Underground murdering thugs. The Democratic voters, 95% of voters in San Francisco are registered Democrats, recalled him in a special election. Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore, where I was a prosecutor for 10 seconds, she was recalled. She lost her primary. And there's a whole chapter on her and how she was incompetent from the get-go, in over her head from the get-go. And you remember the Freddie Gray cases that she tried to cut her teeth on, got national attention for, and failed miserably in them. Rachel Rollins, we have a whole chapter on the DA from Boston. She was the DA in Boston. She listed 15 crimes you can commit with impunity in Boston, including breaking and entering, possession with intent to distribute every drug. That's their playbook for all of them. Joe Biden promoted her to be the U.S. attorney for the District of Massachusetts, and then she resigned in disgrace a few months ago when a DOJ IG report came out and said she violated the Hatch Act and did all sorts of other shenanigans, which was predictable. That's why Senator Tom Cotton on the floor, when she had her confirmation hearing, was like, this girl is not predisposed to have good judgment and good behavior. Look at all the other things that she's done. And we've been writing about this, John and Ryan, since 2019. So this book came about because we saw crime spiking in these cities where you have this toxic trio of defund the police, demoralize the police, and the election of these rogue prosecutors.
It's literally lawlessness.
But the dirty little secret, here's the sick, disgusting part of this movement. It's killing, literally killing, the very people they pretend to care the most about in droves. Yeah. These pro-criminal policies where you don't prosecute any misdemeanors, you water down felonies to misdemeanors, you don't ask for the death penalty, you don't ask for life without parole, you unwind convictions, all these other things result in homicides exploding in these cities.
Kids being shot, just wanton gun violence streaming across the city.
A culture of lawlessness.
It is lawlessness.
Well, John, you mentioned like the gun violence. It was just down the street here, maybe 2 blocks. I don't know if you saw the video that was going on Twitter in broad daylight of the man who stood there and then shot the other man that was sitting on. That was down the street, and I was in my office when that happened. And I am just like, I don't really always worry about myself, but I know that whenever I come into St. Louis, I'm coming into a dangerous place, and it worries me.
And here's the thing, Brad. This is not a left or right issue or a blue or red state issue. This is a law and order versus chaos issue. And so in the Los Angeles DA chapter, where George Gascon is the DA now, Jackie Lacey was a black Democrat, first elected black Democrat, head of the DA's office there. Did a terrific job. But why did they primary her? Because she didn't bend a knee to BLM, and she didn't prosecute certain police officers for shoots that were actually good shoots. And so crime has been going down for 30 years in this country. Incarcerations have been going down dramatically since 2008. Except in these cities, they're going up. And people can take their public safety privilege back by informing themselves, buying our book, reading our book, and figuring out the language of of what they say and make sure they don't get in office in the first place.
And that book is called Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Cully Stimson is its author. He's our guest. He's in town today, and it's so fortunate to have him with us. There must be a network of these progressive folks that is fairly well organized and integrated across the country, and that's got to be pretty scary.
Oh, yeah. And remember, old George Gascon has now recently announced that he's turning the reins of his Open Society Foundation over to his son, Alex. And Alex has come out and said, well, I'm even more political than my daddy. And it's funny because you don't see the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all the lefty newspapers decrying the fact that he's sitting on $26 billion slush fund and doling out $1.2 billion a year to political candidates. Yet they're all up in arms that Leonard Leo, the former head of the Federal Society, is sitting on a mere $1.6 billion, and he's doling out a few $100,000 or $1 million a year because he's the boogaboo. He's the bad guy. So they, in the second chapter, which is Follow the Money, we can tie direct spending to candidates about $40 million, which in politics ain't much. In DA races, it's a ton.
It's everything.
Right? It's everything.
Yeah.
$40 million in direct spending, but about $1 billion with a B, $1 billion of indirect spending. And they set up all these PACs. They set up a front group called Fair and Just Prosecution. It's neither fair, it's neither just, and it's not for prosecution, but that's the name because these are projectionist names, right? They accuse you the same thing that they're doing themselves.
Right.
And they are essentially the clearinghouse university for these. And so your DA here, Kim Gardner, went on a bunch of boondoggles to Europe and elsewhere on Fair and Just Prosecution's dime. She was a horrible manager, and when she was there, she didn't even know how to manage the people who were there. But we have pictures in our book of old Kim Gardner, Kim Fox, Larry Krasner from Philadelphia, George Gascon.
I mean, you're talking about the largest cities in the country.
That's right. That's right. And, there's a massive difference, and I want to leave you with hope. Okay, there's a massive difference between a real prosecutor and a rogue prosecutor. The seventh largest city in this country is a tie between San Diego, where I was a prosecutor, and Philadelphia, where I used to live. Crime, gangs, violence, etc. Larry Krasner gets elected with a $1+ million of Soros cash in 2018. Crime goes through the roof. San Diego has a normal, real prosecutor named Summer Stephan, personal friend of my wife who used to work in that office and mine. Last year, in Philadelphia with Larry Krasner, who the criminal element calls Uncle Larry because he's so friendly to them. That's what they call him. There was 551 murders. Guess how many there were in San Diego?
Tell me.
50.
Wow.
10 times more murders.
Roughly the same population.
The same population. Yeah. And, all these police-involved shootings that are nationally known. You had one here, Michael Brown, you've had George Floyd, you had all those other ones. There were riots and store lootings and all the rest of these cities. None of that happened in San Diego. None of it.
Amazing. Then we're short on time, but are the pro-law and order forces in this country, and there's a lot of people that believe that, are they beginning to amass money to meet these people on the battlefield in these prosecutor races?
Yes. George P. Bush, Jason Miyares, the Attorney General of Virginia, and others have formed a PAC.
Good.
And they're starting to fight back, but they don't have the same kind of money that Soros does.
Well, I got to tell you, folks, what an eye-opener this has been. I mean, I've kind of known this was going on, but I had no idea the extent and the effectiveness of it. And you're talking about the largest cities in the country, and then you say 70% of our population.
About 60.
60% of our population is living under one of these rogue prosecutors. By the way, that's the name of the book. Cully Stimson is its author. It's available everywhere. You can find it online. It's available everywhere. I wish you well, sir.
Thank
I wish you great book sales and have a great event at Hush Blackwell this evening. It's going to be wonderful. That's Cully Stimson. It has been my honor to spend this hour with all of you. I'll be back next hour, and we're going to be joined by Deroy Murdock, and he's going to talk about the Hunter Biden situation. That's next on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group are inviting you once again for another Protecting Your Retirement educational event. But so am I. I'm going to be there. I would love the opportunity to meet you. It's happening Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton once again at 6:30 p.m. That's the event start. You're going to want to be there a little bit earlier, and that's when I get the opportunity to meet you and shake your hand and thank you for being a listener of the Annie Frey Show, a listener of 97.1 FM Talk. We have loved partnering with Thomas Helbig for so many years because we know that the people who listen to what he has to say and have chosen to work with him, they're very happy with the success that they've had. If you're nearing retirement, if you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event. You need to sign up, though, because space is limited at the Frontenac Hilton. Tuesday, August 8th at 6:30 p.m. You call and register by going to 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. You can register online as well by visiting retirementkey.com.
If you need a new bath or shower, call my friends at Bath Fitter of St. Louis. Mark Cox here. We love our new shower and tub enclosure. It looks fantastic. No demolition, no mess, and a lifetime guarantee. Right now, they're having a sale for 20% off up to $1,000 or zero interest until 2028. That's 5 years. Call 636-338-1648. That's 636-338-1648. Bath Fitter of St. Louis. If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value.
Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The U.S. Embassy remains open. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That from the State Department on the situation in Niger after a military coup last week that has some European countries evacuating citizens.
Safety and security of our personnel and of U.S. citizens overseas is our highest priority. We constantly monitor events on the ground and make decisions based on what's appropriate to safeguard our personnel. We're monitoring the situation on the ground and making the decisions we need to.
State Department spokesman Matthew Miller not confirming reports about any decision to evacuate some embassy personnel. The FBI just announcing details of a case that has them looking for more victims around the country. They say a man posed as an undercover police officer kidnapped a woman in Seattle, drove her to his home in Oregon, kept her locked in a cinder block jail cell until she bloodied her hands while breaking open the door to escape. The man is in custody, facing federal charges. The man who killed 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh will face a death sentence, a jury recommending death instead of life in prison for Robert Bowers, who was convicted by the same jury on 63 counts for the deadly mass shooting in 2018.
Bowers also shot and wounded 7 others that day, including 5 police officers. He had posted of his hatred for Jewish people and immigrants on social media for months before the attack.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, it was the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. The defense argued in part that severe mental illness should spare Bowers' life. The jury's death sentence decision is unanimous. The judge still needs to impose it. Pope Francis confronts a scandal just arriving in Portugal for World Youth Day events. He's blasting Portuguese church officials for the scandal of clergy sex abuse, giving marching orders for the Catholic hierarchy to change their ways and treat victims better. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The wet times will take a little break going through our afternoon. Temperatures not too bad, 82. Tonight, next batch, rain and thunderstorms should start to kick into gear around midnight. Heavy rain again possible with some localized flooding. 68. Thursday, changeable sky, mix of clouds and sun, very humid, but only pop-up thunderstorms on Thursday with a high near 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Shows that make a difference. Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon and Dana Lash, Heidi Harris, Wiggins America. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
If you like to work with a local company that gives back to the community, Window World is the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Mark Cox here from my friends out at Window World. What a great product. A lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You've heard me say that before. And they've been around for over 20 years. They have improved the look and the efficiency of over 70,000 homes in the greater St. Louis area. They have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's hard to get, right? And that's important. They're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Call them for a free estimate. Let them show you why they say simply the best for less. New doors, new windows. With Window World, they're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can go online anytime to windowworld.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan, president of McKelvey Homes. Founded in 1898, McKelvey Homes is celebrating 125 years with our inventory home sale. Get $12,500 off of all our market homes. Move in quick, lock in your interest rate, and get all the popular features and colors selected by design professionals. And for every home sold, McKelvey Homes will donate $1,898 to Dravet Syndrome Foundation. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
This weekend, the hottest hot tub sale and swim spa deals are at St. Louis Premium Outlet Mall. 3 days only. Every hot tub and swim spa must go up to 50% off. Hurry, the clock is ticking. Only at St. Louis Premium Outlet Mall in Chesterfield. Sale ends this weekend. EliteSpaSales.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. When you're injured and in your darkest hour, Onder Law is not only on your side, we're by your side.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock in for Annie. She'll be back with us on Monday after her well-earned vacation. And we are joined now by Deroy Murdock. He's a nationally syndicated columnist. You know him. He's a regular contributor here on the Annie Frey Show. He's also a Fox News contributor. Deroy, welcome back.
Hi, John. Great to talk to you. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we've covered a great deal about the indictment situation this morning. I want to shift our focus now, if we can, to what's going on in case Biden. Hunter Biden had this plea agreement a week or so ago that went awry. It's one of the more puzzling things I've ever seen in a courtroom in a very, very long time. What happened there?
Well, I happen to be on vacation at the time, so I only know a little bit from the reports I've seen since I got back, which is also part of the reason I've got a bit of a sore throat. Sorry about that. But as far as I understand, it looks like Hunter Biden's attorneys, who I assume somebody's paying them $500, $600, $700 an hour, didn't do their jobs, which was to sit down with their opposite numbers at the Department of Justice and figure out exactly what was in this plea deal, agree on it, come to terms, and then go to the judge and ask for the judge's blessing. Instead, they went into the courtroom, and the judge asked some simple questions like, does this plea agreement cover just a specific set of charges, or is it a blanket plea agreement? And the DOJ said, well, it's limited. Apparently, the Hunter's lawyers thought it was something close to a pardon. And then is there an ongoing investigation? And the DOJ said yes. That seemed to be a surprise to Hunter Biden's attorneys. And when they heard all these things, they said, well, this isn't the plea agreement we thought we had. As you say, all hell broke loose. And the judge said, all right, you guys need to sit down in a room and figure out what on earth you're bringing before me. And once you agree on terms, come back in a month, and I'll take another look at this. I think it's astonishing that Hunter Biden's got this incredibly expensive legal team. He's been pleading poverty before the mother of the seventh grandchild of Joe Biden, and saying, "Gee, I can't afford to pay child support." Somehow he or somebody is paying all this money for these expensive lawyers, and they're not doing their jobs. Just sit down with the prosecution team and figure out a plea agreement on which they agree. This is a plea disagreement, not a plea agreement. So they've got till I think it's the 25th or so, I think, of August to put their heads together, see if they can put together a few pieces of paper on which they all come to terms, and maybe that will be accepted by the judge. But I think this puts this out in public. We all see what a complete scam this is, and that this son of the President of the United States is getting away with all sorts of crimes, like not paying his taxes for 2 years, for example, being told, well, just pay, I think it's $100,000 to $200,000 on like $1.6 million in income, something
I'll
like
take that
this.
deal.
Yeah, it's like a 6 or 7% tax rate. I would love to see Joe Biden come out for a national flat tax of 6 or 7%. If he does that, I might vote for him. But this is the same people, Joe Biden, the Democrats. Oh, the rich don't pay their fair share. It's a rigged system. They get away with getting off scot-free. And guess what? His son is getting away with at most a 6 or 7% tax on income for 1 year, and then a effective tax rate of 0 for the 2 years where he didn't pay. And by the way, the investigation went on so long that the statute of limitations lapsed, and now he's totally off the hook for those years.
Gosh, I'm starting to think Hunter Biden might not be a very good dude.
It may be. Could be. Might be onto something.
Yeah. So, Deroy Murdock is our guest, nationally syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor. If you look at the ongoing investigation that the DOJ alluded to, might one of the areas be, if he's out there representing Burisma in Ukraine and potentially business interests in China, would he be obligated to sign the same kind of foreign agent form that Paul Manafort went to prison over?
Yes, this is people call it FARA for short, and people on the air will talk about FARA, but they never explain it. It's the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and it says if you are a foreign agent representing foreign governments or foreign government entities or individuals, you need to register as a foreign agent. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person, you're evil, you're a spy. It just says you're representing a foreign interest.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so you're supposed to fill that out. Paul Manafort did not do that. He got locked up in jail for several years. Hunter Biden was representing foreign organizations such as Burisma, this Ukrainian energy company, representing people, I believe, in Kazakhstan, China. He got $1.3 million from the former First Lady of Moscow, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. I went to Moscow once. I came back with some little of those Matryoshka dolls, one doll inside the other,
yeah, right.
and like a cosmonaut watch. Nobody gave me $1.3 million. I guess I was on the wrong tour. So he comes back with all this money. We still don't know why the former mayor, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow, gave $1.3 million to the son of the then vice president, now son of the president of the United States. But anyway, he did not declare that he's a foreign agent. That is a felony. That is a major, major federal violation of federal law.
And it doesn't take 5 years of investigation to figure that out either.
Yeah, you can figure that out pretty quickly. And he's not been indicted for that, not been charged. Again, skating on that one. But the difference is, he's a Democrat, so he gets away with it. If he were Republican, he'd be behind bars already for not filling out the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
Well, it sure seems that way. And you know, when we talk about the Biden family business, it's not just Hunter Biden. It was the brother and some of the spouses are involved. I mean, this is a wide, far-flung operation that is decades in the making. All of it based on inside government influence, right?
Yeah, we saw a recent testimony by Devon Archer, the business partner of Hunter Biden. He referred to this as the Biden brand, as if we're talking about, Rolex or Louis Vuitton or some of these big brands. It's a multi-million-dollar brand from what we can gather. It's gone on for decades, and it involves Joe Biden, his brother Jim, Hunter, and other members of the family cashing in on Joe Biden's name as a U.S. Senator, as Vice President of the United States, and now as President of the United States. And these people get paid a lot of money. I believe I've seen figures as high as $50 million for access to quote unquote the big guy. And we found out from Devon Archer that on at least 20 occasions, Hunter Biden was in business meetings and he would get his father on the speakerphone. And according to Dan Goldman of Democrat representative from New York, happens to be my congressman, lucky me, he got up and said, well, they just talked about the weather, just the weather. Look, they could have talked about Bugs Bunny. They could have talked about Yankee scores. They could have talked about pancake recipes. The point is, for anybody sitting at that meeting with Hunter Biden, he can punch 7 digits or 10 digits and get the Vice President of the United States on the horn like that. And people pay a lot of money. They pay a lot of money for somebody to be able to pick up the phone, call up, and have the Vice President of the United States answer and say, hi, son, how are you? How can I help? So it doesn't matter whether he got on the phone and talked about, the temperature wherever he is or wherever Hunter was, or whether he said, okay, here's the breakdown for the commissions, and then here's the Swiss bank account number in which to deposit it, or Grand Caymans, or whatever it is. The fact that he answered the phone and said, hi, son, good to talk to you, that's all the access he needed to demonstrate. That's a mission accomplished. And people think, well, he really can reach the vice president. Let's cut him a check for $80,000 a month at Burisma, or the Chinese gave him and his private equity group, I think it was $1.5 billion, with it be $1.5 billion from the Bank of China after he flew back on Air Force Two with the Vice President of the United States. Most people, when they get an investment from the Bank of China, they spend months and months in negotiations, due diligence, lawyers, talking to accountants, talking to executives. In about a week or two, the Bank of China deposit $1.5 billion in their corporate private equity or investment account. That is extraordinary. That does not happen to you, me, or anybody listening to this program right now.
Yeah, and so the House Oversight Committee is poking and poking and poking. Where do you think this thing goes? What are they hoping to find? And if they find it, how big is it going to be?
Well, I think they ultimately want to find a smoking gun to prove what a lot of us believe, which is that Joe Biden actually benefited financially from all of this. We do know at a bare minimum that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden share a joint bank account. Now, if you're Joe Biden and you're getting these deposits, I don't know if the huge deposits went into the shared account or not, but if they did, if suddenly there's a wire transfer for $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million or whatever, you'd think at some point pick up the phone and say, son, any idea why we got $1 million, $500,000 or $250,000, whatever it is, in our joint bank account? You want to tell me what that is? Did you just win the lottery? Did you just, sell a ski chalet in Aspen?
Or painting, perhaps.
Or maybe a painting. Hard to believe that never came up. And Joe Biden claims he never has discussed business with his son. Again, that stretches.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there, because I've got a son that's 29 years old. He lives in Chicago, and every time I talk to him, I discuss his business and how it's going. And it's just incredulous to think that Joe Biden, he talks to his son and never talks to him about business. How anybody is willing to believe that is just, I can't even conceive of it.
Absolutely. And, it's not necessarily, give me the breakdown for your equity partners, but, hi, son, how are you? Doing okay? Are you paying your bills? I mean, most parents ask that kind of thing, especially if their son's in trouble with crack addiction and other major problems that Hunter Biden has had. Hunter Biden was on multiple trips on Air Force Two with then Vice President Biden. Of course, Biden's busy with all of his diplomatic work and whatnot, but when they get back to the hotel or they're on the plane flying home, he doesn't say, so, okay, you went to the Great Wall of China, you went to Tiananmen Square. What else did you do on the trip to China, son? It never came up. I was busy talking to the Chinese Communist Party, son. What did you do? What did you do this afternoon? That never came up? Really? Hard to believe that a father and son who we hear are as close as they supposedly are at the same time so aloof and distant that this never comes up in their conversations. I find that very hard to believe.
We're visiting with Deroy Murdock. Before I let you go, I've heard conflicting analyses of the relationship between the firing of Viktor Skolkin, the prosecutor in Ukraine, as it relates to Joe Biden, as it relates to Hunter's contract with Burisma. What is your understanding of that situation?
Well, I would suggest people look up the video of Joe Biden at the Council on Foreign Relations, and he brags about this. It's no secret. He brags on videotape. Is available for anybody who wants to look at it. And he basically says that he went to Ukraine. He told these people, I'm leaving in 6 hours. I need you to fire the prosecutor who's prosecuting Burisma, the company on whose board Hunter Biden served. And if you don't fire him, you're not getting, I think it was about $1 billion in loan guarantees from the U.S. government. This is called a quid pro quo. This is called extortion, or better known as blackmail. And guess what? As Joe Biden says, the son of a bee was fired, and he laughs about it. Everyone in the room laughs about it. So this is no secret. Joe Biden brags about this on videotape. It's available for anybody who wants to go on YouTube or Google and look it up. And Joe Biden basically admits to being part of an extortion scheme to get the dismissal of the man who's prosecuting the company on whose board of directors his son served. This, to me, is a quid pro quo. This is extortion. This is blackmail. And this isn't, Ann Coulter or Sean Hannity hallucinating this. This comes out of the mouth of Joe Biden on videotape. And as soon as you're done listening to this program, you can look it up and see it for yourselves.
Wow. When's the mainstream media, if ever, going to actually pick up and look at this real story that's unfolding before our very eyes?
Well, I think at such point as there is actually an impeachment inquiry. If there is an impeachment inquiry, it'll be impossible for them to ignore. If Hunter Biden if the plea deal never comes through and ends up going on trial, they'll have to cover his trial. But unless there's something, that severe, a lot of these networks are just looking the other way. NBC Nightly News had no mention whatsoever, 0 minutes and 0 seconds on the Devon Archer testimony on Monday. CBS and NBC and ABC Evening News did mention it for about minute and a half, something like that. But some of these big stories happen, and there's literally no coverage. Now, you can cover this story and then bring on somebody from the White House, say, oh, this is silly, this is stupid, this doesn't matter. That's fine, get both sides. But so many of these stories get zero coverage from the so-called mainstream or legacy media, and that to me means that they're not doing their jobs and they're not serving the American public as they should.
Well, there you have it. And perhaps Devon Archer might come back and testify in a public hearing that folks would be forced to cover, you would assume. Well,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Deroy Murdock, thank you very much. You're a nationally syndicated columnist, a great friend of the Annie Frey Show. Appreciate your time on this Wednesday afternoon.
Very good, John. Talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
All right. When we come back, what are the political implications of the Donald Trump indictments? Are they going to help him or are they going to hurt him? In fact, that is our poll question today. Will the indictments of Donald Trump be a net positive or a net negative for him in a general election? Michael Kelly, my partner on Sunday mornings on Fox 2, is going to join us after the break right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Help me if you
Saving money at Ruler Foods is a way that the Frey family saves money on their grocery bill every time they shop there. It's very simple to do. You show up, you shop, a well-organized, clean, easy-to-shop grocery store, and you save money just by virtue of shopping there. Ruler Foods is simple, smart, and fresh. You can find additional sale items at rulerfoods.com, but right now you can shop their Heritage Farm drumsticks, thighs, or whole chicken fryers, 87 cents a pound. Kroger 80% lean ground beef sold in 3-pound rolls, $3.33 a pound. Cherries, $2.97 a pound. Love them. They're fresh. They're delicious. A huge hit with the Frey family at the poolside. Plus, Dole chopped kits or Kroger salad bowls, 6 to 13 ounces, 2 for $5. Saving money at Ruler Foods is made simple, and all you got to do to find the one closest to you is pop your zip code in by going to rulerfoods.com. There you're going to see additional sales items, the ones I listed here, and all the different ways that you can save money when you shop at Ruler Foods. All the details you need right there online at rulerfoods.com.
You're hearing a commercial I set out for, and I wish I would have done this years ago, because I mean the trade, we're so done in trades because we're just getting brutalized by the working class. But if you want great service as quick as we can get to you, like we're busy, and reasonable prices, if you call me, I would not waste your time. You will get equipment that will heat and cool your home. If you're looking for a furnace or air conditioner, it broke down, or you just need service, call me. Bart Inman. Again, it's Bart Inman, and with one really easy number, Missouri and Illinois. There's only one number for Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600, or the internet. Well, that was a large breath. the internet. BartInman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Another Trump indictment. I know, it's crazy, right? It hardly ever happens, but we'll break it down Wednesday afternoon.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
Hey, it's John Hancock in for Annie Frey. What a show we have had so far today. Enjoyed being with you all for these last hour and a half or so, another hour and a half to go. Well, we've broken down the legal side of the Donald Trump indictment. And I know we don't have a lot of Democrats here on the Annie Frey Show, but my favorite Democrat, he's my broadcast partner on KMOX, and he's my partner on Fox 2 on the Hancock and Kelly Show, 8:30 in the morning on Sunday mornings if you're not in church, and you should be in church. He joins us right now. We're going to talk about the political impact that all of this may have. Michael Kelly, how are you, pal? Welcome to 97.1.
I'm doing great. Nothing like throwing one in the Trump in the punch bowl by having me on Annie's show. Nobody wants to hear what the Democrats have to say, do they?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see your take. I've got some thoughts, but more importantly than all of that, I know you're waiting on the plumber to come. And
I am.
Tell the people about your trials and travails of your washer and dryer. I think this is hilarious.
Well, I went and my washer broke on me about 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
And I went to the Home Depot and purchased a new one.
He bought a new washer and dryer.
A new washer and dryer. I purchased the electric one because there's no gas in my building.
No gas in this building?
Except for our washer dryers apparently operate on gas. So Home Depot wouldn't take it back as a return. Seriously. It was still in the box and the whole bit. So then I finally donated that to charity. I went to Lowe's, bought a new one, waiting for them to deliver it on the day they told me they'd come. They never showed up. And, well, then I find out that it's 3 months back order. So then I went to a little local company, bought another washer dryer.
Yeah.
And now I've got to get something, some type of shutoff valve put into my washer dryer. So this has been a 3 month saga that I know that you take great delight in. And it's proof as to why I probably should get married and get some help in my personal life.
Well, there's no doubt, and that explains how you've been smelling here the last 4 or 6 weeks. I hope you.
That's not true. That's not true, buddy. I've been going to my buddy's house like I'm back in college, doing my laundry on at people's houses. It's not a fun way to live.
Well, good luck to you. I hope the plumber gets there. I hope his plumbing is well done, and you're up and running in no time. So. Here's what we know. We know that Donald Trump has now been indicted for the third time. They got the Manhattan DA on the Stormy Daniels case. You got Jack Smith on the documents case down in southern Florida. Now you've got the January 6th indictment, 4 counts in Washington, D.C. that was broken yesterday. And I look at the polls, and Donald Trump is over 50% in the GOP field. And if you had to put a gun to my head and ask me to predict who the Republican nominee is going to be, I'd say it's going to be Donald Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right, John. And I don't get it. I know there's a lot of Trump supporters listening to us now on this show. But at the end of the day, I don't see a pathway that Donald Trump can win the presidency. He for sure can win the Republican nomination. He's running the current president is running for re-election. He's historically unpopular.
Yeah.
He has a lot of questions that are related to his age. This seems to be on a tee for the Republicans, but they're hell-bent on nominating Donald Trump. And while it may feel good, I don't think it's going to feel good in November of 2024 because I do not see a pathway for Donald Trump to win the presidency. There are just too many Republicans, and whether or not you would consider them Republicans, I guess, is left to people's individual interpretation. But on the polling that I see, that just know that they cannot go for another 4 years of Donald Trump. And I think that bodes well for the incumbent, who really should be scared, nervous, and probably facing a deficit in a general election. And I don't think that's going to be the case, John. And I think the Republican base is doing the work of the Democratic Party and helping make sure that this is the easiest election cycle that the president possibly could face.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I want to get your reaction to this theory that's out there. There's a theory out there that the Democrats are actively pushing these indictments because they want to face Donald Trump in November. You think there's any credence to that, or you think that's just bogus?
I think it's bogus. I mean, look, if you look at the most recent set of indictments, there's not one Democrat who was interviewed in there. There's not one Democrat who's cited as somebody who's going south on the president. It is completely by Republicans. This president is the former president, I think, is in a terrible situation. Why he's running for president probably is solely just to try to keep himself out of jail. But from a larger standpoint, I don't understand what the Republicans are up to. I love that people think that the government can have these types of conspiracy theories. I mean, John, we're looking at almost 70 indictments. 70.
Well, 3 indictments, 70 counts.
70 counts, yeah, 70 counts. I mean, this is we all lived through the Steve Sanger saga in St. Louis, and for 3 months it consumed every aspect of our lives. And, you know, I didn't hear anybody saying, oh, well, none of this isn't true and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think they're grasping at straws, and I don't think it's selling to independents and disgruntled Republicans who just don't think Donald Trump is a true conservative.
All right, let me lay some polling analysis on you and get your reaction. So if you look at the national polls right now, and this is after the indictments, Donald Trump is on the credible polls. There's a lot of bogus polls out there that on both sides, but the actual credible polls, Trump is either behind Biden within the margin of error, or he's slightly ahead of Biden within the margin of error, and that has been consistent across polling now for the better part of since you had a washer dryer, and
right.
And so. And Donald Trump in 2000 in the polling data, whether it was in August of 2019 on through and including Election Day, Trump's never was this close to Biden in any one single poll in that entire election cycle. What does that tell you?
I think people are upset with the direction the country is going, but when the gun's put to their head in November of next year, are they going to sign up for 4 more years of Donald Trump, where we have acting people sitting in offices because he can't seem to hire people that he can get along with? I mean, if you read these indictments, all of his problems are with his own people. You know, he picks the very best people, John. Well, he apparently picks a lot of people who don't like him. And so I think if you look from 2016 forward, if you had a poll as it related to Biden and Trump, it's always been close and in the margin of error. The reality is with the president's popularity where it's at, this should be a cakewalk for the Republicans, but it's not. Why? Because they're continuing to hold on to Donald Trump. I don't get it, John. If the objective of the Republican Party is to take the White House, they are putting up the one candidate who possibly cannot deliver that. Nearly any of these other candidates, I think, probably could beat this president in a straight-up election, and I think the conversation would be more about Joe Biden's health than it is about Donald Trump's, illegal behavior or alleged illegal behavior. And it's baffling to me, and this is not really about winning the White House. This is about vindicating a man who I don't necessarily believe has shown the trust and loyalty that he's getting from the people that are supporting him.
All right, let me ask you about polling intensity, because the one thing these indictments have done is they have increased the intensity of support behind Donald Trump. And the one thing that Joe Biden's performance in the White House has done is that there's not a lot of passionate support, even among Democrats, for him. In my experience, intensity in polls is every bit as important as where the final numbers are.
Yeah, but we're 15 months away from the election,
True.
John. And as we've always discussed, elections are a binary choice. And I think once 15 months ticks on and Donald Trump is the nominee, we're going to live through the circus that is Donald Trump. I know it's something that a lot of people take delight and glee in. They like his brashness. They like his assertiveness. They like his rudeness and apparently his willingness to ignore the law. But when that conversation is now a binary choice between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I don't think the intensity is going to be on the side of the former president. I think it'll be on the side of the current president, one who I think, as a Democratic operative, I'm telling you, is hobbled, is in a bad spot.
Talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah, but it is what it is. You know, if the Republicans choose to nominate him, it scares me because I don't want him to be president for 4 more years, but I think it also is probably Joe Biden's best opportunity to retain the White House. And like I've said, I think Joe Biden will win this election going away when it's a binary choice, despite the intensity of the polls that you see right now, because Republicans are focused on Donald Trump. Democrats really aren't. I mean, yeah, okay, we're all reading the indictments, et cetera, but once we have debates, once we have conversation, once Donald Trump starts to lay out what his next steps are going to be, if he's president of the United States, it just turns off too many voters. We are at a time in our country over the last several elections where elections are being decided in 4 or 5 states. And if you look in those 4 or 5 states, Donald Trump can't afford to sacrifice any votes. The Republicans can't afford to sacrifice any votes. And there are too many independents and leaning Republicans who just say, I can't do 4 more years of Donald Trump.
So let me, it is my theory, and you may think I'm all wet. I actually don't think Joe Biden ultimately is going to be the Democratic nominee for president. I think they're going to look at him, and to your point, they're going to see a flawed candidate who is not very popular. It does not have a passionate base of support, and maybe there'll be a health issue that arises or some mechanism between now and the end of this year that is going to open things up, and the Democrats are going to end up nominating someone other than Joe Biden. How possible is that scenario?
I think it's 50-50.
Okay.
Look, I think you're right. I think Joe Biden's health is definitely something that is debatable. It's obvious to all of us. We watched him and his capabilities diminish over the last several years, even as he was our vice president. But as president, I can see that type of an action taking place. Gosh knows that some magic hand came in and helped him win South Carolina. That same magic hand could maybe decide that there's a better opportunity elsewhere.
You're talking about Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina.
Right. But I think that conversation gets tabled if you're running against Donald Trump simply because of the weight of baggage that Donald Trump brings to the game. Even Ron DeSantis, even a Tim Scott, I think would find themselves in a better head-to-head poll situation if they were the sole focus. And once we get to the binary choice between these two individuals, I don't see a change being made, but anything's possible with a man who's 80 years old. And let's not forget, the former president's no spring chicken either. Why we're obsessed with nominating these octogenarians to run our government is beyond me. But as a person from the Generation X, it's disappointing to see that not many people my age have risen up in political power and almost have sat out political life. And as a result, we're left with these octogenarians that we've all known forever. And I think the health issues are a concern that's not only going to be problematic for Joe Biden, but eventually Donald Trump.
Well, Trump will be 78, and Biden will be 82 by the time that all rolls around. But yeah. I mean, you make a point. You're looking at Mitch McConnell.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, buddy.
So Trump says he's not going to participate in the Republican debates.
Yeah.
I think this is a strategic mistake from the former president, and here's why.
Okay.
If we buy into the narrative that Donald Trump is going to be the nominee for the Republican Party, and he chooses to sit out the debate, saying there's really nothing to discuss with these folks, if you're Joe Biden, who, by the way, in 2000 and when he ran 4 years ago, ran his campaign from his basement, why would you engage in debates with him? You just say, you know what? The former president's right. There is really no reason to debate. He and everybody already knows where we stand. And the president now finds himself in a situation where there could be plenty of embarrassment that he doesn't have to go out there and put himself and expose himself to that simply because he can point to the fact that Donald Trump wouldn't even participate in the Republican debate.
So I understand why Trump's at 50% in the polls. And
right.
And that means he's got more support than all of the other 12 or however heck many candidates there are combined. So the incentive for him to go out on a debate stage with those folks, just, traditional politics, set Donald Trump aside. If you've got a client running for office and they're at 50% in the polls, they're not going to debate. I think it's entirely possible if we get to November and it's an election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I think, to your point, I think this might be the first election since 1960 when there are no presidential debates between the general election contestants.
And if you're advising Joe Biden, who's had some issues, it was just last week he had the president of Israel there, and he couldn't remember where he was at.
That was
kind
awful.
Of stuttering and stammering. Why would you put yourself in that situation? And you have a place to hide. And it's not like the voters aren't going to know these two individuals. And regardless of what you think about the current indictments, you can just look at what the general electorate feels of Donald Trump and realize that Joe Biden's in a better spot doing nothing than he is engaging with this guy because the Republicans have a bigger mountain to climb with Donald Trump as the nominee as opposed to anyone else. I don't get it. I know that a lot of people are listening to you that are big supporters of Donald Trump. I guess I can appreciate that. But if your goal is to win the White House, you're on the wrong horse.
Well, before I let you go, you know how much I love history. And if this election, let's put it this way. Do you have any idea when the last time we had two one-term presidents serve back-to-back? Any idea?
Well, Carter was one term. Before him was
Ford, but that was a continuation of Nixon.
Yeah, but that was kind of messed up. So, no, I don't know. Tell me.
You have to go back to Grover Cleveland, who was the president of the United States, and he was then defeated by Republican Benjamin Harrison in the next election. And in the following election, do you know who was elected president?
Franklin Roosevelt.
Grover Cleveland again. So I leave you with that happy thought, Michael Kelly, and good luck with your plumber. And we'll catch you on the other side. It's Wiggins America next after this on the Annie Frey Show.
Sunshine beating on the good times, moonlight racing from the grave, string band playing more of that honky-tonks, pretty young thing going dancing in the rain.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
In 2023, fans welcomed Wilson Contreras to the Cardinals family. And on Saturday, August 5th, we celebrate him with his first gate giveaway. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will go home with their own Wilson Contreras home white Cardinals jersey, courtesy of Stiefel. That's not all. 10,000 fans ages 20 and younger will also receive a baseball card pack thanks to Topps. For details or tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Wilson Contreras. See you at the ballpark.
Sunday, August 6th, the Cardinals host the Rockies, and there's a giveaway for fans of all ages. That day, 10,000 fans ages 16 and older will get an exclusive Cardinals and MLB Network hat, and 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger will take home a Tommy Evans growth chart thanks to Missouri Farmers Care. Stay after the game for the post-game High Chew Kids Run the Bases. That's Sunday, August 6th, the Cardinals and the Rockies. For more ticket information, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Tommy Edmond. See you at the ballpark.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español.
Gracias, Babbel.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. Some are items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
The YouTube live chat poll of the day. In a general election, how might the indictments of Trump affect him? We want to know whether you think it'll help him, whether you think it'll hurt him, or it'll have no effect whatsoever. That's today's poll. You can do that on YouTube. The time right now, 1:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Not just right and left, right and wrong. We're discussing it every day on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Achilles and his
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Clearly I don't see myself upon that list. But she said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna
Well, man, what a show this has been today. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it, but none more so than the minute we're about to spend. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for
Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins.
Ah, yeah, that's music to my ears right
Wiggins
there.
America.
That sounder. Love that sounder.
Yes.
I have pulled together a number of polls, and what I told you guys ahead of time was I'm going to pull a bunch of polls together.
Love polls.
Regarding different issues, snapshot of different American issues that people are facing.
Fantastic.
What I realized after doing that is what they are is related back to Biden. And I didn't do that on purpose. It's just I wanted to look up how are people feeling about the economy.
Right.
Well, how are people feeling about the economy in relation to Biden? That's, all these kind of things are related back to him.
Is is it just because he's the president now? Why
I
these
think
things?
that's probably why.
Okay.
I think that's probably why. There were some other things that I just found interesting, and I pulled up 4 or 5 different ones here that I just wanted to let you guys, look at, see if you would have thought that this is what America is thinking right now. I'll start with this one. It says that most voters in the U.S. believe that President Joe Biden was involved in an illegal cover-up to hide his involvement in his son Hunter's foreign business deals. This is according to Rasmussen polls. 60% believe that President Joe Biden was involved in an illegal cover-up to hide involvement from his son Hunter's foreign business deals. Does that surprise you that 60% of the country?
Yeah, I mean, I will say Rasmussen skews right.
They do, but that's a pretty big number, though.
It's a big number. Yeah, I would think that a very significant portion of the country thinks that there's illegal activity there. But just given the partisan breakdown of the country, 60% seems high to me. But it would be a big number.
Yeah,
it's funny. I look at that because part of that is his whole whenever they asked him about it, his very much. Well, I don't even talk to my son about my business dealings. And it's like, well, hold on. Like you said, you absolutely do. And when you lead with, I don't even talk to my son about that. It tells me that maybe
credible.
you know something that I don't want to be linked with.
You ever been down to Sajay? I don't even know where strip clubs are. What are you talking about? Oh, okay. You doth protest too much.
Yeah.
Oil refineries.
What is a woman?
Well, I think Josh Hawley asked that in a congressional hearing one time.
I think so, too, to a Supreme Court candidate.
Right.
Or no, that was Marsha Blackburn that asked that. But just within the same article, since you referenced Rasmussen leaning right, which they absolutely do.
They do, yeah.
It's also references a Reuters Ipsos poll that says that 77% of Americans say it is believable that Hunter Biden did not pay taxes in an effort to hide that income.
Oh,
77%.
Sure. I'd count me in that number. I mean, why else would you not pay tax? Look, if you're especially at that level, I mean, people go get spanked for a lot less than that. At that level of not reporting income, understand this, folks. The IRS, they keep track of these suspicious bank activity transactions.
Yes.
I mean, there's a whole point in why these SAR reports are done by the banks. They're required by law to submit them, to keep them, and have them available, and they're available to the IRS. So if you think you're going to get $1 million from somebody and just put it in your bank account and never talk about it again, the IRS is going to know it is there.
Yeah, and I reference this often because I think it's underreported, even while the IRS whistleblower testimonies were happening, that the banks that they were using apparently reported Hunter and family members to the Treasury Department 6 times at least
because
that we know
those are SARS reports.
And they said, look, this looks like money laundering.
Yeah.
We can't do anything beyond report it, so we're reporting it to you.
So I know a little bit about this. The SAR report itself is not an indictment, okay? It's a suspicious activity.
Right.
But what it is, it's a flag. It's a red flag. Hey, look over here. This doesn't look right. That's what a SAR report is. And to have 6 of them in a family that's a pretty big deal.
It is.
It's a pretty big deal.
And that's a lot of money, too, coming from foreign sources.
Yeah. All right, what else you got over there, Wiggy?
Another
This is
poll
fun.
here. So this one is it comes another one about the Biden corruption probe. It says that if he was bribed, Biden must go, according to the majority of the INI and TIP poll.
Yep.
This evidence, it just talks about, a lot of the things that we've been talking about. Evidence continues to grow, and some of the testimonies. It says a strong majority, 63% in this poll, suggested that if President Joe Biden should either be impeached or resign immediately if the charges prove to be true.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that seems a little low to me. I mean, bribe is like the quintessential high crime that a politician can commit.
Isn't it? And it's like the ones from movies.
Right.
It's the one that we've all agreed all the time. That's bad.
You guys are too young to remember Abscam. Do you remember Abscam?
No.
So Abscam was a government and really an interesting series of cases back in the 70s. And a very powerful senator from New Jersey. And the FBI was a sting operation. And they gave him a bribe, and he took it. And then they arrested it. And he pled an entrapment defense. And they said, you took a bribe, So it was a really interesting case. But, bribery in politics is a big deal. And so, if they prove that Biden took a bribe, he's gone.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that they used to be like, hey, we all agree you shouldn't bet on a sport if you play the sport.
Right.
Like
Pete
that kind of
Rose.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be like Pete Rose happening now and half of the country being like, whatever. Although according to the poll, actually, people do care about this. Another one from the AP here. President touts Bidenomics.
Yeah.
Though a new poll suggests that just 34% approve of his handling of the economy.
And there you go. That's a killer statistic. Who knows at the end of the day what this election is going to be about, but almost every presidential election is about the economy.
At least it's one of the top issues, if not the top issue.
Exactly.
And this one, I think the lead here is not just that he's only got 34% of approval. The story is also that 34% of Americans would vote for the president even if he walked into their front door and shot him with birdshot and walked out.
Oh, I believe that.
34%, there's no way those people have not been affected by his bad decisions and see that he's a president on the economy, and yet would still vote for him.
Oh, it's partisanship, man. There's plenty of people that, would vote for. There's Republicans that'll vote for anybody that's on the ballot. There's a Republican, and there's Democrats that vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Go figure. Hey, that's Wiggins America. Thank you very much, Wiggy. When we come back, we got another action-packed hour for you right here on 97.1 FM Talk. It's the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, I want to talk to you about your home and air comfort service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Specifically, the parts of your home that you don't like because it's not comfortable in there. I have experienced this myself, an AeroSeal duct sealing from Air Comfort Service. They have been solving comfort problems in homes for over 50 years, mine included. House is usually the most expensive purchase that we make, so you want to make sure you get the most out of that purchase by enjoying all the areas of your home. If you have a hot second or third floor, or a freezing cold basement, if it's too hot or too cold in a room or addition, Air Comfort Service can help you with this. Leaky ductwork in your home can be the culprit. An AeroSeal duct sealing with Air Comfort Service heating, cooling, and insulation can fix this. Or they can install a ductless mini split system, which will give you more usable space to enjoy. Reach out to Air Comfort Service by calling them at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091 and schedule an appointment today. I've done it in my home. I know that you'll appreciate the service in yours as well. AirComfortService.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. That's right. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. An evacuation on Capitol Hill. I'm Lisa Brady. We are just getting word that a Senate building has been evacuated after Capitol Police received reports of a possible active shooter in the area.
They've evacuated the Russell Senate Office building, which is the oldest Senate Office building, which is right across the street from the U.S. Capitol. And I'm going to read what U.S. Capitol Police have put out here. It says our officers are searching in and around the Senate Office buildings. There's a grand total of 3 in response to a concerning 911 call. Please stay away from the area.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Bear in mind, the House and Senate are on summer recess. Now, Capitol Police had also been telling people who were in the area inside buildings to shelter in place. That was the initial report, but again, they have now evacuated one of the 3 Senate buildings. However, there is no confirmation of any gunfire in the area, no confirmation of an active shooter, but they had this concerning 911 call, and they have acted so far in precautionary ways to protect people. But at this point, Capitol Police continue to investigate those reports of a possible active shooter. Again, 1 Senate building has been evacuated. In Pittsburgh, a measure of healing.
Today's verdict will never bring back the 11 members of the synagogue who were killed.
The FBI's Christopher Giordano, after a jury recommended the death penalty for mass shooter Robert Bowers, convicted in the 2018 synagogue attack.
To those families who lost loved ones, I hope today allows you to close this terrible chapter and continue moving forward and continue healing.
Bowers' defense had argued he is mentally ill. He posted anti-Semitic messages for months before the attack at the Tree of Life Synagogue. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
At SimpliSafe, we've designed award-winning home security with advanced sensors, HD cameras, and now this, 24/7 LifeGuard protection, only from SimpliSafe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The wet times will take a little break going through our afternoon. Temperatures not too bad, 82. Tonight, next batch. Rain and thunderstorms should start to kick into gear around midnight. Heavy rain again possible with some localized flooding. 68. Thursday, changeable sky, mix of clouds and sun, very humid, but only pop-up thunderstorms on Thursday with a high near 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's such an honor to be partnered with Centric Security and Automation. This is a nationally known company that's right here in our own backyard. I want you to go to centricstl.com, Centric with a C, centricstl.com, and learn how they can provide you a free risk assessment or quote to upgrade your aging security system. A lot of people who they work with already have a system in place, but you know that the system that you are running right now is inadequate. Maybe it doesn't even work, or there's something you can do to make it work and it just hasn't performed for you the way you need it to. Centric Security and Automation can come into your place and give you that free estimate to help make sure that your system is secure. They provide secure cloud access control, AI-powered video surveillance systems, and they are a service-centric organization focused on providing amazing service. All of their technicians are required to complete monthly training, which allows them to stay informed of the latest technologies and provide the best service possible. Find them online right now by visiting centricstl.com.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan, president of McKelvey Homes. Founded in 1898, McKelvey Homes is celebrating 125 years with our inventory home sale. Get $12,500 off of all our market homes. Move in quick, lock in your interest rate, and get all the popular features and colors selected by design professionals. And for every home sold, McKelvey Homes will donate $1,898 to Dravet Syndrome Foundation. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
The New York Times calls BritBox the best of British telly. Stream brilliant series you can only find on BritBox. Unlock acclaimed favourites like Vera and Stonehouse, plus the upcoming original drama Archie, the story of Cary Grant. Start a free trial at BritBox.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. No one should be injured or be the victim of assault when using a rideshare service. These companies need to be held accountable.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
Are we one of your top presets?
You were giving off that vibe, so if you want to take it to that level.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. It's 2:07 in the afternoon. Mark Reardon is just around the corner. John Hancock in. And we've got some breaking news potentially out of our nation's capital, Ryan Wiggins.
Yeah, U.S. Capitol Police said just a few moments ago that officers are searching in and around Senate office buildings after a concerning 911 call reporting a possible active shooter. This is coming from the Hill that I'm reading. Capitol Police noted they do not have any confirmed reports of gunshots and asked those inside the Senate buildings to shelter in place, which is happening now. They said, please stay away from the area as we are still investigating. U.S. Capitol Police wrote on Twitter, Twixter. Staff in the Senate buildings were told to move inside their offices or to the nearest office and to load or to close and lock internal doors and windows. That's all we know. They haven't found anything or anybody yet.
We do know there's a much heightened police presence outside the Russell Senate office building. That's the one that's right next to the Capitol. And we're going to keep our eye on this possible breaking news story. There's nothing really to report yet. If Fox News goes live and starts covering it, we will carry that feed live here on 97.1. But as of right now, we're going to just keep an eye and monitor the situation.
Yep.
So I think that's the way to do it. It's been such a heavy show today.
We've had a lot to cover.
We've covered it. And
it's amazing when you have on Monday closed door testimony of a business partner that the president may have had business dealings with and bribes from other countries, and then you find out all about it on Tuesday, and then Wednesday you're talking about a Trump indictment, the third one from the former president. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I picked a fine time to come in here.
Yeah, you did. Annie picked a good week to go on vacation.
Yes, she did. Well, as my good friend Boris Johnson once said, them's the breaks. So there you have it. Well, I wanted to, I've got a little lighter topic, and this is the last time I'm going to be together with the two of you on the air before this weekend. And this weekend is my father-in-law's 87th birthday.
Oh.
So, Dad, if you're listening, I want you to turn off the radio right now because I don't know. What do you get an 87-year-old for their birthday? I mean, literally, the man has everything. If he wants it, he gets it.
I got two ideas.
All right.
This is just coming off the top of my head because this is kind of where I go.
Bring them.
One, food.
Food.
Perishables are good because you don't have to keep them around. You don't have to put them somewhere and store them away.
He was in the food business, too, for years and years and years.
So finding something unique for him is probably going to be a pretty big deal.
He's Greek. So, I mean, he's got a great palate. The man loves to eat. He's a good eater.
Okay, well then,
all right, food.
I don't even need to tell you the second one. But the second one is something personally sentimental involving grandkids.
Ooh.
Because that's what we do for my grandma. Now, my grandma just last week turned 91.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. And she listens to the show. She may be listening right now.
Hi there.
Hi there, Grandma. And happy birthday again. But we went over to her house and just brought some fried chicken and just had dinner. But for Christmas every year, we get her and my parents and my wife's parents, so the grands and the greats. We get them all just a calendar of pictures throughout the year of our kids.
Oh,
and that is a standard gift. Everybody loves it. Everybody looks forward to it. It hangs on the wall a year. And then you got a keepsake.
A little wall count. And by the time you hit 87, you might want to know, like, this is so-and-so's birthday. On the calendar,
if you're not using your phone to do that.
You got a bunch of grandkids running around out there. It's hard to keep track of everybody's birthday.
Yep.
So you may, and because it's a birthday calendar, with all of the grandkids and great-grandkids' birthdays on the calendar, that is brilliant, Wiggins.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good gift idea.
That is brilliant.
You just take pictures. It's so easy, too. You take pictures to a local printer or a Kinko's if you want to.
Yeah.
And they just do it now. It's not even that you have to ask them special. They know exactly, we'll do it, and then they just give it to you or ship it to you.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. What do you have, Range? You got anything?
Man, this is tough because I struggle with gift giving. Like, there's a lot of thought.
Not me. I've already got your birthday gift.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's hard for me to get a gift for somebody that I don't really know that well.
Yeah. Well, generally 87 years old.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of stuff that we got my grandpa. My grandpa had a garden, and anything that he could do with his garden was great. So we would, anything that he could use in his garden, be it even like we got him this. It was a Roadrunner windmill. It looked like a Roadrunner, and then the legs spun on it.
The Roadrunner.
Yeah. So we got him that, and he would put that out in his garden. But
that was a guy. It kind of reminds me of Trump, the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
You got Wile E. Coyote out there dropping an anvil on him or trying to blow him up as he goes in and beep beep. He's just right through there. It's just like Trump.
Yeah.
And then my grandpa also liked baseball, so anything baseball related was good for him.
Isn't baseball great the way it connects to generations? I mean, really and truly.
Man,
did you guys ever hear Jack Buck's baseball poem?
Yeah, right before he died, he shared that.
Well,
didn't he?
he not the poem he did after 9/11, but this was about baseball.
Oh, maybe not then.
Yeah, and it's got music behind it, and he's I can't get through it without crying. And the last line of it is, he says, I would give anything to play catch one more time with my dad.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that gives me chills, because one of my fondest memories was, because my grandpa, he was a farmer. He worked his body out. He had to ride a mobility scooter and walk with a cane and whatnot, and he could barely stand. But man, one day he just kind of stood up from the picnic table and he's like, I wonder if I could, because me and my brother were playing catch. He's like, I wonder if I could. And he grabbed my brother's glove, and I got to play catch with my grandpa when he was in his 80s. And that was awesome.
Wow. Funny that you mentioned that, because my dad was a warehouseman, and same kind of thing. I mean, he worked his tail off. And when my son was little, he was over. And Dad wasn't in his 80s, but he was in his 70s. And we played catch. That was the last time that we played catch, and I'll never forget that for as long as I live. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Now I feel bad for not playing catch with my kids more.
Well, yeah.
But you got time, Ryan.
I do have time.
How old are they?
Well, 9 is my oldest son, and 6 is my younger son. Totally. But it's not, I mean, we hang out and talk quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially in the car. And I think most of our discussion, I don't know, it's not really over catch.
Yeah.
And maybe it should be. But
I mean, it's
more about spending time together.
Right. And like video games. We didn't have video games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, we had Pong. Remember Pong?
Yeah, you had Pong when you were a kid?
Yeah.
You get addicted to Pong?
Yeah, it gets pretty
Come
bad.
home from school every day.
Well, it explains a lot anyway. But yeah, that's, man. So, yeah, and the kids, they grow up so fast, and we've been empty nesters now for years, but early on, when we were empty nesters, the birds would keep coming back and eating all the seeds. My kids, they just kept showing up, and Johnny even moved back in for a while after he was out on his own. And so, but now we're truly empty nesters, and it's kind of a weird deal,
Is it? I don't know what to think about when that happens, because I'm not necessarily looking forward to it, but there are things that I won't miss too.
So my wife loves it. She absolutely, and she loves the kids, and she babysits the granddaughter now 3 days a week. But my son is my best buddy. I mean, we're a lot alike, and he's moved to Chicago, and I really miss him, being up there. And I loved it when he moved back home. He was in his 20s. He moved back in, and I loved every minute of it, because we'd talk about everything. He's into politics. He actually, in 2016, he did the field for Trump in Colorado, and he organized the whole southern Colorado field for the Trump campaign back in 2016, and they offered him the political director position at the state party there, and he decided that by the end of that, he didn't really want to go into politics. And so, because that's what I went into politics, and I'm kind of glad he didn't, because it's just such a weird way to earn a living. When you do politics for a living. We
do politics for a living in a sense. I mean, we do radio for a living ultimately, but we talk politics so much, of course. Is it working in the actual political arena, not doing media like we do? Is it inconsistent? Is that part of the problem? Is that it's a cyclical, every couple of years thing?
So you have to, sure. If you go into that business, you have to appreciate the fact that you're going to make a lot of your money, right around the last 4, 5, 6 months before an election. But if you're doing national politics, there are elections going on all the time. And so our firm, we've done everything from a city council race to a presidential campaign. We've been involved in, in everything in between. And Mississippi, Virginia, they have New Jersey, they have odd year elections for their general assemblies. And so that, those are races that go on. And then on the research side of things, we do opposition research and our own, what we call inoculation, where we research our own clients. And that business it's 24/7, 12 months a year, then stuff going on somewhere, everywhere. And so if you're going to do politics for a living, it really does help to figure out a way to generate, you got to generate income, the whole year. And then, there's some corporate work as well that comes along, advising corporations of, how to spend their political money, for example. Some of the folks in my industry are lobbyists. I'm not. but they represent clients before the state legislatures, and that's an ongoing source of revenue generation. But when I started, I hung my shingle up in 2003, and there wasn't another full-time Republican political consultant in Missouri working at that time, not one. And now there are. The largest firm in the country is a firm called Axiom Strategies. Jeff Rowe, he's started his firm in Kansas City 3 years after I started mine, and he's now the largest in the country. He's doing DeSantis' super PAC, this presidential campaign. And there are, I want to say, 20 firms now just on the Republican side.
In Missouri?
In Missouri.
Wow.
That are doing political consulting. And that has really changed. That's changed the landscape a lot.
Well, that probably speaks to there's a lot more money in it now, right?
Yeah.
There's people dump much more money into politics now than they did 20 years ago.
Well, that is true. And that's really, now our firm doesn't do much state legislative work like state house. So we do a little state senate stuff, not much. But there are firms that's all they do is state house races, and they'll do them in Missouri, and some of them, have a regional nexus. They'll do Kansas, Oklahoma, whatever. So there's multiple ways to make a living in the body politic today that maybe there didn't exist 20 years ago.
I don't know if you find this interesting or not, but as you're talking about the industry, the industry that I have come from, film and TV,
right?
It's a weird cyclical world too, and it's one of the reasons these things cost so much is because there's not consistent work. So if you are a lighting tech, for instance, you are specialized in that, and you are usually excellent at that one thing.
Yep.
Maybe you can do a few other things, but you're mainly good at that thing. And so you have to wait for a movie or a TV show to be hiring, to be filming.
Or a political ad.
Or whatever it is. Something media related. To be able to get a job, but then you have to charge an exorbitant amount because you're not working the rest of the time.
So if you're doing a shoot for a candidate, you're running a campaign with Congress, U.S. Senate, something like that, and you're bringing the crew in to shoot the spot, and that's the basic industry rate right now is between $25,000 and $30,000 a day that crew is in. That's just for the crew.
Yeah.
Then you've got to cut the spot, and you pay for the spot and the distribution of the spot. And I mean, it's not an inexpensive enterprise.
Right.
Which is why these campaigns need to raise so darn much money.
Yeah, and we were able to shoot a show, a full 8-episode season in basically a week and a half, which is crazy fast. But that's how much you spend
just because of the budget.
6 months to a year planning for that week.
Yep.
Because there's so much detail and money that goes into it. And then because I was on camera, man, the pressure is on. And that's why you see, I mean, this is a weird background thing. That's why you see they joke about Hollywood having parties all the time, is because when you're in that moment, the stress on you to perform is super intense. Because, if we lost 10 minutes, there goes $1 million.
Exactly.
Oh, you just didn't know your line well enough? That's it.
Yeah.
So the stress is so intense that once you're done shooting, people just blow off steam and they just want to have a party.
Well, and that's, and I got you imagine, and those are professional actors you're working with.
Yeah, that's right.
We're working with politicians.
Right, who can't do a thing.
They can't talk.
Right.
How'd you like to be making ads for Joe Biden right now? Just say this, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Take 17. Here we go.
Right.
That's Ryan Wiggins. Brad Range is in here. I'm John Hancock. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio and legal analyst. He's going to join us after this on the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
The great thing about Dr. Ty Parker is that if you listen to 97.1, you hear me talking about him all the time, you're going to show up and feel like he's a friend, because he's a friend of mine, has been for a long time. And I can give you a little background into Dr. Ty Parker. When we were in high school and college, he always was somebody who would spend on the premium things. Like if I'm going to get a pair of junk sunglasses, he was going to get Oakley's. And I was like, dude, Why are you getting that stuff? He's like, because quality. And I'm like, well, good thing you became a dentist, because you now know exactly what to get. You know, whether it's dentures or it's whitening, he does impeccable research, and then he's able to get things that other people may not have and pass that on to you and say, no, actually, this is the best way to do that, because he's very, very research, very, very intense, and goes for the highest quality of everything. And that's something I can tell you just because I know the guy. So if you're going to go to the dentist anyway, why not go to a great one who's going to give you a great experiment, give you a great experience and get you in and out of the office fast. He's going to respect your time, but you're going to get great treatment too, and you'll feel like a friend since you listen to 97.1. Dr. Ty Parker, Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Visit fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
You've been wanting to check out that news story that everyone's talking about, but you just can't find the time. That's why the On Deadline podcast is here. We pull together interviews from Odyssey's radio newsrooms across the country and add important context so you can really get the news fast. From wildfires and catastrophes at sea to new laws and presidential candidates, we'll have coast-to-coast coverage for you all in one place. Subscribe to On Deadline on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
And I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Keeping you connected and aware.
In the world, the country, and the community.
And offering more ways than ever to listen conveniently. Tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk or download the Odyssey app. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, it's John Hancock in for Annie Frey, and we just have a couple more minutes to spend with you today. I'm hoping that Jared Halpern calls in, Fox News, Fox Radio News. We were talking during the break where they just put a graphic up on the screen. Donald Trump's at was it 54% in the polls? Maybe it's 51. It was over 50. DeSantis is at 17, and Mike Pence is at 3%. And
he's not even qualifying for the debate.
I don't think Mike Pence is going to be the Republican nominee for president.
I'll take that bet. I mean, I'll be on your side in it.
He may not last until New Hampshire at this point.
What honestly is the point of him running for president? Is he just trying to make a little money or keep his name out there, or what?
I don't know. And Pence is an interesting. He was a client of mine when he was the governor of Indiana.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I know Mike. I mean, we're not buddies or anything, but I know him. He's genuinely evangelical and a thoughtful guy, but his kind of stylistic approach to politics is not in vogue at the present time.
No,
and it's just not what the voters are desiring, and it's hard. If you're a candidate and enjoy running for office, and there's a lot of enjoyment to the process of running for office. I did it. I loved it. You meeting people, fascinating people all the time, and talking and giving speeches and answering questions. There's a lot to be said for if you're an extrovert, that kind of a person, that, running for office is kind of fun. And so it's really hard when that phase of life is over for some people to just kind of walk away from it. And this is for Mike Pence, surely a last hurrah on the hustings as a candidate for a lot of these guys. Chris Christie will never run for office again.
It's funny you say that, though, because Pence doesn't seem like that guy. Chris Christie does. Seems like he'll walk in a room and eyes on me.
Yeah.
But Pence doesn't seem like he loves the limelight. I mean, he's not shy from it.
Well,
but
you're a little colored because he was the vice president.
Yeah.
And so the vice president, just by definition, by nature, really is got to take a back seat. You know? And then when he was governor, he was very out there and enjoyed the campaign, and he was a good governor. Although it's really interesting, you go back to 2016, Trump really didn't know Mike Pence, and he selected him largely because of the evangelical connection he had with that part of the base. But Pence was scheduled to be running for re-election as governor in 2016, and his poll numbers were not good. There was in Indiana, though it definitely is a red state, they have elected Democrat governors over the years, to be sure. And he was not looking like a lock by any means to get reelected. So that was a very interesting time.
I've seen a lot of people saying that everybody on the debate stage on the GOP side right now is running for VP. And I don't necessarily, I mean, I get what they're saying, but I don't really think that that's actually going to happen because for the most part, aside from Kamala Harris, honestly, other than her, typically it's a name you're not expecting, right?
Yeah, right. They'll go outside of the field of candidates that
like
are
a
running.
Kristi Noem, for instance.
Right.
He just met with her.
Yeah.
And you know all about that.
Yeah. I thought she was going to run for president and did some work for her early on, and then she ended up deciding not to run. Easily won re-election in South Dakota. Great governor, and somebody that I do think has national aspirations and would be an interesting candidate for us down the road.
I went to South Dakota last summer.
Did you? Yeah.
And we'd had that conversation, probably in a similar setting as this.
Yeah.
And I saw some signs for Noem for governor.
Right.
Because I think she was still
running for re-election.
She was running in 2022, right?
Yep.
And so I saw some signs, and I made the family pull over. And I got a picture of me sitting next to a sign, doing the peace sign next to a Noem for governor. Yeah. And I don't know that I ever sent it to you, but I meant to. And just in case Jared Halpern does come here, we'll need to pop off. But
sure.
You brought another thing that you brought up last time you were here that I was here. Because I know you've been here when I wasn't.
Yeah.
But this was probably the end of last year. So this was 8-9 months ago.
Okay. I probably forgot it.
We had this conversation, and I wanted to touch back on it because it was something that you brought up as a political strategist that I thought, well, there's probably a lot of truth to that. But it doesn't seem to have gone in the direction. Not that you were wrong, but
I've been wrong.
But the choice that had to be made at the time doesn't seem to have been the right choice for the candidate. I'm talking about Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, we were talking about, and I think I said something to the effect of, why doesn't he just wait until 2028 when he would be the de facto nominee, it seems?
Right.
Because by then, either Trump has had 4 more years, and then he's the heir to the throne, and maybe that's a tough election, I don't know, but it would seem obvious. Or he lost, and you have 8 years of Biden or whoever.
Right.
And then it's obvious that DeSantis is up.
Yeah, the seat will be open in 28.
Yes, regardless. Mm-hmm. And therefore, he maintains popularity. He's the next Donald Trump. He seems like he's the obvious choice. You said to me at the time, which I thought was actually really good wisdom, that you never really know what 4 years can bring.
That's right.
And when you have an opportunity at any given moment in politics, it's so fickle that you just have to seize it.
Yep.
And I thought, man, that's pretty good advice. But now in light of him not really making that traction, do you think that it would have been a better idea for him to wait?
Well, we'll never know. But what we do know is that Ron DeSantis going into this year, after being reelected in 22 by 20 points in Florida, he was a hot property.
Heck yeah.
Okay. And he made the decision to run for president. Now, I don't think he's been a very good candidate, but we didn't know that then. Hadn't really seen him. I've not worked with him. But a guy who made the choice that you just described decided not to run when he was a hot commodity and ended up running later, and it didn't go too well. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Chris Christie.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say Scott Walker.
No, Chris Christie
okay.
was Walker was hot when he ran. He just was not a very good candidate. But Christie, who ran in 16, was he was reelected governor of New Jersey in 2013. And at the time, he wanted to do his governorship and then run for the White House. But when he got reelected in New Jersey in 2013, he had foregone the opportunity to run for president in 2012. And his brand in 2012 was red hot among Republicans. Mm-hmm. Red hot. And we ended up, you'll remember, nominating that year Mitt Romney, and who had been a retread from 2008. And that had been historically the course for Republicans. You run one time and kind of get you, and then the next time you do it. John McCain's another case of that. Ronald Reagan's an example of that. And but Christie missed the window. He missed his window. He very possibly could have been the GOP nominee in 2012 had he done it. And instead, he waits until 16. Along comes Donald Trump, and boom.
Isn't that something? Because the thing he had was not necessarily great policy. He had a fighting personality.
It was his personality. It was his style.
And that's what people
like about
Trump. They
Trump.
didn't quite grasp that at the time yet.
Right.
But they were starting to.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. He might have had a good I mean, I thought at the time, oh, this guy's great. He's fighting back.
Right.
He's fighting the media.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, well, we got Mitt Romney.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Now, I worked for Mitt Romney, and heck of a nice guy.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure a lot of these politicians are nice people.
Really a good guy. He's a little stiff on the trail. I think he's gotten better. I was with him in 2008, his first run. And but as far and a record of, the man saved the Salt Lake City Olympics. I mean, it was bankrupt. There was corruption going on. It was a disaster. And he saved that Olympic Games. What was it, 92 or 6? I don't remember the year, 2000 sometime. And he's really, and I know he's taken a lot of flack in the in the last few years, but I enjoyed working with him. He was a good guy.
Well, what do you think going forward now about DeSantis? If he doesn't make any waves this year, which is not for sure yet. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
He still could in some of these early states. If he makes an impact, he could. But if he doesn't, is he hurt for 2028 now?
So, some candidates that run and lose benefit from it. Some candidates that run and lose do themselves some damage. At this point, I would say on balance, DeSantis has done himself some damage here. And the reason I say that is he's been less than ideal as a retail product. And he's taken a lot of incoming from the most popular Republican in the country, with being Donald Trump. And so when you got Donald Trump constantly beating on you week after week after week after, and he's not fighting back. And it probably would be fruitless to try and fight back at this point, but he's not fighting back, and he's just taking it. We used to call those professional javelin catchers in the industry. That probably is going to do some damage to his brand long term.
Interesting. Because the only way to me that 2028, whoever Trump says, I'm going to put my blessing behind, that person seems like they would have a huge leg up on everybody else.
Being Donald Trump's vice president is not proven to be a particularly good resume attribute, right?
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying whoever, because he may not endorse his own VP in 2028.
Right. Yeah.
But he could, I could see him, he turns like that.
Mm-hmm.
He could all of a sudden be like, that's all water on the bridge. Right. You know who I like is that Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
I really could see that in 2028.
I could see it too.
So
I could see it too. But man, that's the dangers of looking that far over the horizon in politics. Though there's nobody saw Donald Trump coming, and nobody ever really thought Joe Biden. Joe Biden had run twice before for president. He was a horrible candidate. Remember the first time he ran, it came out that he plagiarized,
Yeah. I mean, they've been joking about him for years.
And then the second time he ran, Obama and Hillary are in the field, and Biden was like, who is this guy, I mean, he's just not a very good candidate.
Yeah, what's really amazing is that they picked the machine picked a not very good candidate, because they really did. They really picked him.
Yeah,
they knocked out Buttigieg, and they knocked out Gillibrand and whoever else.
It was Bernie.
And Bernie, in
so
2016 for sure. But.
So that's what happened. The Democrats, and I will say this, the Republican Party, as far as a machine, it doesn't exist anymore. The party, and whether that's, for a lot of people, that's a good thing. For other people, it's not such a good thing. But it used to exist, and it doesn't exist anymore in any meaningful sense. But the Democrats, they saw disaster heading their way as Bernie Sanders is picking up steam in Iowa and New Hampshire, right next door to Vermont, and they're going into South Carolina, and it's starting to look like Bernie Sanders is going to be the Democrat nominee for president. Now, at that point,
you're talking about 2016.
Yeah,
right?
I'm talking about 16. Yeah. And at that point in the game, it wasn't clear that Trump was going to be the nominee, but he certainly was the factor. But you're going into South Carolina. And if Bernie Sanders runs the table, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, he wins in 3 different parts of the country like that, odds are that Bernie Sanders is going to be the Democrat nominee for president. So the party power broker said, whoa, we might like socialism, but we can't. This guy can't win. What are we going to do? Well, the only guy in the room that had a scintilla of a chance of winning was old Joe.
Well, now you're talking about 2020, though.
No,
right?
I'm talking about 2016.
Oh, they wanted Joe in 2016?
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2020. You're
okay.
right. You're right. The 16 was Hillary. How soon
yeah.
I forget. No, this was in 2020.
Yeah.
They wanted old Joe, and they knew, of course, they knew they were running against Trump, and they knew that Bernie Sanders probably wasn't going to get there against Donald Trump, and so they got together, Jim Clyburn, the old war horse, in South Carolina, and they put the black vote together and the institutional Democrat vote together, and they beat Bernie Sanders, and then they steamrolled the rest of the way. But that was all done by the machine.
Exactly. And the machine picked a terrible candidate.
They did.
And then they picked a terrible candidate for VP. They just absolutely blew themselves up going into the next election.
Yeah. Yeah. That was all Biden picking. And, they do have a quota system on the Democratic side. They've got to check this box. They're a box-checking party.
Yep.
And so, if you got a box that needs to get checked, then you limit your universe of potential applicants that way. And they check the boxes, don't they? Yeah. So there you have it. I got a little confused on my calendar, but
well, you brought us right up to present day.
There you go.
We are back doing the same thing as we were in 2020, probably.
Here we are. I don't think we've had one rerun in modern history where the same two candidates ran against each other.
Share that
president.
fact before we break, because I know we got a break. But
what? That was a different fact.
Okay.
No, this is a different historical fact. See if any of my friends know this. So there's been, at least in my memory, there's been just one time in the history of the country where the same two candidates ran against each other. Well, no, there's been more than one. I'm sorry, I take that back, because it's happened twice. But it was the most recent time was Dwight Eisenhower against Adlai Stevenson. They ran against each other both elections like that. So there you have that.
And Eisenhower won both times.
And his presidency, by the way, historians, he kind of was considered a caretaker president by folks, shortly after he left office. You look back at the Eisenhower years, he was a much better president and historians now are catching up to that fact. So there you have it. Our poll results are coming in. What's the poll question again, Wiggy?
In a general election, how might the indictments of Trump affect him? Will they help him? Will they hurt him? Will they have no effect?
And I will predict the audience's response. I'm going to write it down here, and the lovely and talented Hannah Gibbs is going to join us for our last segment of Wednesday on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
American Mortgage is the #1 place to go to get your mortgage secured. If you're looking for the bagel loan, folks, you are going to look nowhere else other than Stewie, because Stewie's the only one who has the bagel loan. The bagel loan is called the Bagel Loan. Yes, like the breakfast food, or you could eat it anytime, I suppose. Bagels look like a zero, so he calls it the Bagel Loan to remind you that you pay zero in fees that other lenders out there are going to charge you for. Stewie takes care of you. He will work with you to help you, give you options, and guide you in what is going to be financially the best for you right now and also in the future. Call Stewie or text Stewie at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. And when you connect with him, mention the Annie Frey Show and get on the path to making an incredibly smart financial decision that will affect you for potentially decades. I've used Stewie twice, and I encourage you to check him out for your own financial situation. Use the Bagel Loan to get your next mortgage. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with the IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
The warm weather is here. It's time to get out and enjoy that yard. And whatever you need for your yard, Hanson's Tree Service can help you out. Go to hansonstree.com to find out more details. If you need trees trimmed, if you need landscaping mulch, if you need soil, my friends at Hanson's Tree Service have you covered. They'll send a certified arborist to your yard to give you a free estimate. Reach out right now. Their service is tremendous. Go to hansonstree.com.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, in a general election, how might the indictments of Donald Trump affect him? Will it help him? Will it hurt him? Or will it have no effect at all? Let us know what you think on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. The time is 2:48. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief for Real Clear Politics.
The goalpost is shifting there. They were adamant that Biden knew nothing about this and wasn't involved in any way. Now they're saying, okay, he was involved, but not in any illegal way.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show, and this is John Hancock sitting in. Wiggy is here. The lovely and talented Hannah Gibbs joins us this segment. And, of course, there's Brad Range working the board as his doing his usual great job. We are joined right now by a friend of mine, and you guys know how much I love music. And 2 weeks ago, we mourned the loss of the great Tony Bennett. And this gentleman, Tony Viviano, St. Louis's own Tony Viviano, he's got a doubleheader of gigs this weekend, Friday night and Saturday night. He learned to sing from Tony Bennett. Tony Viviano, welcome to 97.1. How are you, friend?
I'm doing great, John. I'm glad to be with you on 97.1. Thank you so much.
So where are we performing Friday and Saturday night?
Well, Friday night, I'm going to be at the great John Minio's restaurant.
Great restaurant.
Clayton. Just phenomenal food, sensational romantic dining. And then Saturday night, it's going to be at a fun place called Filoni's. Everybody has a good time there with unbelievable pizzas among their other, homemade Italian dishes. And
what time do you start?
On Friday night, it's 6:30 to 9:30.
Got it.
And Saturday night, it's from 7 to 10.
Perfect. And what are you doing? What kind of stuff? You do a little Tony Bennett, will you?
Well, I'll be doing a tribute to him. I will give him a true tribute because he was a good friend of mine. He helped me out years ago. He taught me to sing backstage at the Caesar's Palace.
Is that right?
He sure did. I got goosebumps right now. I miss him. I really miss him.
Yeah.
He called me one time, and he said, Tony, I'm coming to St. Louis. You going to meet me backstage? I said, I'll be there, Tony. And I met him back there. I met him many times.
Wow.
And he's just a thrill of a guy. The last thing he said to me was, he put his arm around me, and he said, Tony, remember this. It's not where you start. It's where you finish.
There you go. The great Tony Viviano, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night at John Minio's at Clayton Road, and 7 o'clock on Saturday at Filoni's. Good luck to you. I might catch you at Minio's on Friday night, pal.
Well, I hope so. And we're not going to be just doing Tony Bennett. We're going to do a lot of 60s fun songs, the Beatles, Joe Cocker, and all kinds of good tunes.
Sounds good. So knock 'em dead, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll see you, Tony. All right, Hannah, we've got this poll question now that we've got to deal with. I have done my prediction over here. Should I share my prediction before we give the numbers?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think
here's what
polls are going to say?
Here's what I think our listening audience is going to say. I'm going to say that 46% are going to say it's going to help Donald Trump. 37% are going to say it's going to hurt Donald Trump. And 17% are going to say it doesn't make a difference.
Ooh, close.
Really?
Close.
All right.
So once again, the poll question is asking, in a general election, how might the indictments of Donald Trump affect him?
Yeah.
37%. Actually, let's flip it this way. 40%. So the thing that won the poll is that the indictments are going to hurt Donald Trump.
Oh, interesting.
40% of the people said that. Following, really close, 37% of the people say that it will help him.
Okay.
So super close, neck and neck, and then 23% of the people say that it'll have no effect at all. But 40% of the people say that the indictments will hurt him. 37% of the people say that it will help.
It's a surprise to anyone? It was a surprise to me.
I'm not as surprised. I would have thought that hurt because when in the general you're trying to get the disengaged voter the one that might only hear Donald Trump was indicted, and that's never what you want your presidential candidate to have attached to their name. So that's why I was kind of leaning. I think that might hurt him in the general. So it doesn't really surprise me that's the way it went.
I just think back to 2020 and 2019, because at the end of 2019, we were talking about the Democrat House was going to impeach Trump, and that was going to be the story. That was going to be the thing that decided the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't just not that.
Yeah,
Nobody
you're talking
cared
about
at
the
all.
Ukraine impeachment. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even a story. Now, that was probably because it was COVID, but I don't know that it even would have been outside of COVID.
That's a really good point.
And so I don't know that it's going to have a huge impact at all on this election. They're going to try to make it into something, but I just don't know that people are going to really care by the time November 2024 rolls around. So I'm going to say no effect.
All right.
All right. I have a few comments that I want to feature here.
Bring it.
Joe from our YouTube channel commented and said, no effect. The indictments will have no effect on Donald Trump. He asks, what, is someone going to vote for him harder? Or on the other side, are the critics just going to hate him even harder? People have their minds made up. No change. The indictments will not impact Donald Trump, is what Joe says. G-Wibs commented and said, I think the indictments are a wash. For some, it'll stop for voting for him. For others, it will make them get behind Trump, even if they weren't before. So it's kind of hard to say.
Fair enough.
Two different ways to come to a wash. there.
Right.
One saying everybody's already dug in. The other one saying, no, people aren't, but it's the same amount of people that's going to move back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask Hannah Gibbs a question.
Okay.
So was 2020 your first presidential election to vote in?
It was my first presidential election to vote in.
So do you have an appreciation for how crazy this time is in American politics in a historical context?
No, not really.
Because you're just living it. You're just living it.
That's all I've ever known is this super divisive, crazy, extremist version of politics is all I know.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I came of age, my first election was 84, and I voted for Ronald Reagan. Proud to do so. And you guys are a lot younger than I am.
My first was 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was a controversial.
Mine was what would have been 04, Bush and Kerry.
And I was barely 18. Yeah, so that was my first one.
Man, you kids. I'll tell you, we got the kids and the grandkids here in the studio today, folks. It's nothing to make you feel old like that. Wow.
I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to vote, smoke cigarettes.
Oh, stop.
Buy adult magazines at the gas station. I mean, I didn't really want to do any of those things, but that's what they told me I couldn't do, so I had to do all of them on the same day.
Oh, you should have just joined the Boy Scouts.
I walked into the voting booth with my cigarette and my adult magazine. Like, what are you doing, sir? Well, I'm 18 today.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, Wiggs.
You're welcome.
We appreciate that. 18 is the age to vote in this country. A lot of people think it ought to be 21. Vivek Ramaswamy thinks you ought to be 25 or serve in the military before you vote. That's a pretty controversial opinion, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, yes, but
I'm against it because I wouldn't get a vote right now.
That's right. All right, what do you got tomorrow, Wiggs? You got a big show coming our way?
Yeah, we have a lot going on. I mean, our normal guests, Tyrus and Hans von Spakovsky, but I've also got.
I didn't have to pronounce that today.
Yeah. We are going to talk. We should talk more about the Heritage event actually tomorrow too, because that's coming up in a week from today. Is that right?
Yep. And then we will have them in studio on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Next week.
Wednesday.
So we actually have quite a few guest book and big hours and topics that I want to bring up. Some local news I want to talk about tomorrow,
folks. Thanks for your time this time. Till next time. So long.
I want to talk to you about Window World.